All right, how's it going, everybody? So I hope my audio is good. I did switch back to my previous microphone, but how is everybody doing? So in today's stream, if you guys are a bit confused, we're not playing anything. We are going to be playing something tomorrow, though. So for those of you that are interested in that, make sure to stay tuned tomorrow. I'm not entirely sure which game I'm going to be playing because you know what? I haven't really spoken to my friend Caitlin, and obviously we were playing Resident Evil 6 with her last Wednesday. But today's video, I'm basically going to be explaining, kind of discussing my thoughts as to my experience with Calgary Expo 2024, which of course happened last Thursday all the way to Sunday. So it's actually been a crazy week. Now I do have to wait. Let me get my let me get all my stuff ready because guys, it was pretty hype. No, this was actually my first time going to a Calgary Expo. But honestly, I'm actually hyped to go back. Like if this ever happens again, I am down, dude. Like it was honestly really fun. And so yeah, we're basically gonna go over that. How is everybody doing? As mentioned, if you guys are watching or staying tuned, if you're watching, let me know how the audio sounds because as mentioned, I'm not entirely sure. Actually, let's check that. Let me just check the audio if it's good because I'm not listening. Yeah, it's perfect. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, it's great. It works. Perfect. So I do have to mention that I like this wasn't like something that I had planned like for weeks. Honestly, I only like messaged them I think like 2 weeks, so 3 weeks ago, and I got a thing right away. Wait a second, my chat is not working. Hold up, guys. Something's up. There's something up with my chat. I just noticed. How's it going, Demon? Yeah, how's it going? Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it, guys. We're going to get to all the good stuff, guys, because, guys, I met a bunch of celebrities, bunch of Resident Evil guys. So we're going to talk about that, and obviously, I did get access to a bunch of interviews. Let me just fix my chat here, because it's not working. So 1 second, man. Yeah, Revan says, hey, man, did you have a good time? Dude, I had an excellent time. Honestly, it was super hype, and we're going to get into that, because, guys, as mentioned, it's my first time going to an expo, and I got like it was crazy. Like it felt like I got a bunch of benefits for being a content creator. We're gonna go over that. 1 sec. Let me actually try my chat again. We're gonna see if it's good. You know what? Let me actually pause this. In other news as well, guys, I do have another video for you guys. Oh, there we go. Now the chat's working. Excellent. Okay, so I do have some other news as well that I should go over. For starters, I did end up making a dual PC setup. So I do have a dual PC stream. I'm not using it right now since I'm only going to be using, well, I still have to test it out. So if you guys are part of the members, then you guys are going to be seeing some stuff. We're going to try some computer games. Obviously, we're going to be trying some Resident Evil mods, testing it out, seeing how everything looks. Because I did test it, and it did work for the majority of the games. I actually have two methods of doing it. I could either use my Elgato or using another thing or another way. I guess we won't get too much on the technical side, but honestly, it wasn't that hard. It wasn't that hard to do a dual PC setup. A lot of people, when I mentioned that I was going to be doing a dual PC setup, a lot of people were like, "What? Hold up, that's kind of intense." But I'm like, honestly, it's not bad. And yeah, we're gonna be doing a bunch of mods as well. So yeah, Demon says you're so lucky. Glad you enjoyed yourself, dude. It was awesome, and I have so much content for you guys. It's crazy. Now let's start from right from the beginning. So as mentioned, 3 weeks ago is when. Do you guys hear any sound? I am washing clothes, like in my laundry room, kind of like down the hall. So I don't know if you guys hear anything. Let me know how the audio is. But anyways, 3 weeks ago, I basically saw that Calgary Expo was happening. And I remember I had one friend who told me a while ago, he's like, dude, you should apply as a content creator because last year, he's like, there was like nobody. There was like no content creators. So you should honestly apply. So I was like, okay. So I was thinking, I just remembered that. And I was like, hold up. I was like, okay, I'll see how it is. So I went on their site. I went down and there was like a content creator section. And I just applied. It was like... When was this? This was like 3 weeks ago. So let me see. This was April 15th, I believe. April 15th. So it was a Monday, and I remember sending the email out on like the 14th, which was like a Sunday. I sent it at like 3 a.m. and I was like, we'll see how this goes. I'll send it right now. I'm going to bed, you know. And the next day, I actually got a reply like instantly. So huge shout out to Justine, who's actually part of the press at Calgary Expo. But honestly, it was amazing. So she got back to me immediately, and she's like, "Yep. So here are your dates. Here are your passes. You get to bring 2 people if you want." And I ended up bringing my cameraman, who ended up being my brother. I was like, yo, I was like, I went up to my brother. I'm like, I signed you up for this because I need a cameraman. I need somebody to actually hold the camera as I interview people. And one of the cool things that they actually allowed is for interviews. So I was like, sheesh, interviews, that's wild. Now, as many of you guys might be actually asking yourself, you're like, okay, well, what are the interviews? Well, let me show you. Let me show you the guest list. Okay, let's look at the guest list, because there's a lot of actors. Let's see. Okay, so this was the website that basically showed all of the. Wait, let me put my. Oh, is my mouse enabled? Hold up, I can't. Let me use keyboard. Wait a second. There we go. Yeah. So as you can see, these are the celebrities. So obviously we have Matthew Lillard from Scream. We had the whole Scream cast showed up. Now, I actually don't know too much about Scream, so I was planning on interviewing Matthew Lillard, but I was actually going to watch the Scream movies before. But because my brother's girlfriend is actually a huge fan of Scream, so she ended up waiting in line, and we'll talk about that later. The lines were crazy for Matthew. Anyways, we got the Avatar cast. We had John Rhys Davies. That's actually the person that's on the thumbnail. I got a picture with him. I didn't have to pay money also, because I guess I was part of press. And they were like, no, dude, like, you don't have to pay. Just take a picture with him. And I was like, okay. I was like, all right, I'm going to take a picture with Gimli? Get out of town. All right, that's crazy. I also spoke to the Avatar cast. I was also like gonna interview them because I'm like, why not? But the PR, the public relations for them, I don't know, the people that were in charge of the Avatar team were kind of like no interviews. They were like, we're not doing interviews and nothing. So I did end up talking with them. A lot of them were super nice. All of them were super nice. But yeah, I could not interview them. But I mean, it's fine. I did ask Maria a funny question. If you guys are Avatar fans, we'll get into that. But dude, it's crazy. What's up, guys? Sorry, guys, I missed some chats. Let's actually catch up before we continue. TJ says, what's up, Eder? Yeah, it's going good, man. Audio is clean. Thank you so much, Bean Boy, for letting me know. TJ says, I recommend you guys become members too. You get cool R.P.D badges. Thank you, TJ. Yes, if you want to support the channel, make sure to become a member. Because like I said, we're going to be doing several testing on using my dual PC setup. I want to do a bunch of mods, and I was actually trying it out just a couple days ago. I was playing Resident Evil 4, and there's so many mods for Resident Evil, like their new one, Resident Evil 4 Remake. So it's pretty hype. Demon says, nope, can't hear the washer. You're good. Awesome. Okay, yeah. I always forget that I have this microphone, which actually just cuts out a bunch of like low rumble. So that's awesome. And these angry. Yeah. Hey, how's it going, Seabale? Yeah, what's up, guys? All right, so as mentioned, these were the casts. We had the Ahsoka guys. We had Butch Hartman, who I actually did end up talking a lot. Butch Hartman was the guy that basically made Fairly Odd Parents, Danny Phantom, Tough Puppy. He made all those shows. So like I said, I had a whole list of people that I'm like, I don't care. It doesn't even matter if they're not part of Resident Evil. I'm still gonna talk to them. So we're gonna see, right? I'll explain later how that all went down. We had more actors. Then we went to animated voices. Gray, Little Mermaid, freaking the X-Men cast, which was hype. Honestly, I actually ended up speaking with the director and producer. We'll go all in order, but I'm just showing you guys like the amount of people. Like we had like Cameron Monaghan, we had Neil Newbon, we had Roger Craig Smith. Now these two names should be very important, guys. Michelle Ruff actually voiced Cindy Lennox in Resident Evil Outbreak. And she also voiced Jill Valentine in Resident Evil Revelations. I didn't even notice that she was on the list, and I even told her this. I was like, dude, I had no idea that you were on the list. I'm like, I'm going to try to book you in an interview. And she was like, no, that sounds awesome. That's great. I told her, I was like, I'm a YouTuber, Resident Evil YouTuber, love your work on there. So I'm like, I'm going to, that was actually the first day. So this was Thursday where I talked to her. Also, they had Zelda, they had Neo Newbon. Neo Newbon obviously is Astarion in Baldur's Gate 3, but he's also Heisenberg in Resident Evil 8 Village. So really cool. Like I said, there's a bunch of people. Todd McFarlane, dude. Todd McFarlane. I've never heard of Todd McFarlane. I'm not too into comic books. Apparently, he made like Spawn and stuff, and was a huge component into like making Spider-Man. And dude, the lineups for Todd McFarlane were crazy. Todd McFarlane was the most popular guy on all days, from Thursdays all the way to Sunday. This guy was jam packed. So yeah, it was awesome that they got them. They got a bunch of comic creators as well. But anyways, so that's basically what I'm dealing with here, right? There's a bunch of celebrities. So I'm like, sheesh, and I get to interview them. So I was like, okay. So they said, if you have any media inquiries, if you want to send your interview list, go and send them at this email, right? Talk to this lady in the press. So I was like, okay. I sent all of the interview people that I had. Like I said, it didn't matter that it wasn't going to be Resident Evil. I'm still going to post it on the channel. You know what I mean? I was like, whatever. But what ended up happening is that right when the day happened, so this was Thursday, April 25th, right? April 25th. How's it going, CNET Nation? How's it going, man? Yeah, it's been going good. And just explaining how hype the Calgary Expo was. So the 25th of Thursday, I show up and I talk to them, and they said that they haven't booked any interviews. Well, no, they actually did tell me before that they said that they tried to pre-book interviews, but they had to have the celebrity and as well as the PR team all there at the same time. So that was kind of a bummer, but that's basically what they said. They said that they couldn't do it. They couldn't pre-book me in an interview with all the people that I wanted to interview. And I was like, okay, well, that's fine. So they just said, you know what, when you show up on Thursday, just give us the list and we'll ask, and we'll continue asking until we get the interviews. So Thursday, I was basically walking around. I saw a bunch of Resident Evil cosplayers. Now, one thing that was interesting too is that I noticed what was funny is that Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, there was a bunch of Resident Evil cosplayers. But by the time it hit to Sunday, all of the Resident Evil cosplayers were out of there. I did not see one single. Well, you know what? I did see one guy that I actually talked to before. But, dude, there was like almost nobody. There was no Resident Evil cosplayers. I was like, bruh, what is happening? Also, Saturday, too, was kind of dying down, where it seemed like all the Resident Evil guys were like gone. I was like, okay. But anyways, so going back to what I was saying, Thursday was a kind of a chill day. It was basically, I entered the the expo. I basically wanted to check out all of the shops, all of the locations, and at the end I actually did end up missing a huge a section, because there was another building outside that held the comic book artists. It was called Artist Alley, which apparently a bunch of expos or Comic Cons tend to have. So that was interesting. So I was like, I missed that place completely. But anyways, I was just kind of chilling, kind of talking to Resident Evil cosplayers, asking them questions. Funny enough, CNET Nation, you know that kind of question list that you gave me on the previous stream, where you were like, what's your favorite, what's your favorite weapon in Resident Evil? Who's your top 3 favorite character? Who's your favorite character? Which character do you hate the most? Or, I kind of rolled along with those, and I started interviewing people that were Resident Evil cosplayers. So I have a bunch of videos. I'm going to keep all of that. Now, sadly, there was 3 interviews where the audio, it wasn't picking up the audio for my microphone. I recently bought a new microphone that I can actually take out, and you do have to plug that into the DSLR. I thought it was plugged, but apparently it wasn't. I actually checked and I'm like, what's happening with the sound? It feels like I'm just using the sound from the camera. So it kind of sucks, because that ended up happening. I did speak with, I did run into 3 professional cosplayers, and we had a great interview. But I was like, the sound is not great. So I was like, that sucked. I'll show you a picture right now. Wait a second. Where is it? Where are my images? Oh, I just had it. Shoot, I just missed it. Here we go. The other thing that I should also mention too is that the first day, I was not sleeping well. I think I only had like 5 hours of sleep. I was not doing great with sleep, so I did look a little tired. It wasn't until like Sunday or Saturday where I started feeling a little bit better. Yeah, I don't know. It was just weird. It's almost like I had insomnia for like the first, I don't know, for that whole week, honestly. Not like the weekend, but just like from Monday to like all the way to like, I guess, Friday. I was not sleeping that much. I just could not sleep. I don't know. It was weird. And it wasn't like, this was something that I actually talked with my brother about. I was like, I don't know. It's not that I'm like hyped or like excited. Like, for example, like when you go to like school or whatever, and, after summer break and you're going to school and you're kind of hyped a little. That's not how I felt. I honestly felt chill, but, but I don't know. I just couldn't sleep that week. So that didn't help. But let me get the picture. So I did end up taking a picture with Corvus Cosplay, and I did actually interview them. So these guys are actual Capcom creators. So as you guys can see in the bottom here, they're Capcom creators as well, which is awesome. That's actually how I saw them. I was like walking past and I was like, wait a second, are you guys? Yeah, you're dressed up as Leon, Claire, Chris, dude. That's awesome. Awesome cosplays. And then I saw their board. I saw the Capcom creators thing. I'm like, wait, are you also a Capcom creator? And they're like, yeah, we're part of. I'm like, sheesh. I was not expecting to see another Capcom creator. So yeah, my face. Mind you, this is not a great picture. My face is like, I was actually saying like, take another picture. I was telling my cameraman or slash my brother, I was like, take another picture, dude. Like take another picture, and he did. He took 3 pictures, but that picture is what ended up sticking. Like the other ones, I was closed. My eyes were closed, so it's not a great it's not a great picture. But yeah, so that's what happened. Anyways, unfortunately, that was one of the interviews that I spoke with the cosplay guys, and Leon, Claire, and Chris, which is awesome. It was a great interview, but like I said, the audio got taken from my camcorder. That happened 3 more times, and there was also one. Luckily, it didn't happen with any of like my big interviews with like the big Resident Evil legends. You know what I mean? Like for example, like the Roger Craig Smith, who played Chris Redfield, RE5, RE6. RE Revelations. He also played Curtis Miller in Resident Evil Degeneration. All of my interviews, it didn't happen. There wasn't any errors, which is nice, but it kind of sucks because I did speak to a lot of cosplayers. They were really nice. And like I said, I still have the audio, though the audio is just not great. So I am going to have to put subtitles in the video, which I have to do. I am going to make a compilation of all the interviews that I had with all the Resident Evil cosplayers. But there's so many Resident Evil cosplayers. I will say, when I first saw the Corvus made cosplay, I actually saw them outside. So I saw Leon and Claire were outside, and I thought it was just the Claire cosplayer with an actual police officer because the outfit looks so convincing. That was actually the first day. So like my first entry into the Calgary Expo. So it was really funny because like I said, after I noticed, wait a second, no, that wasn't a police officer. That's actually Leon. So great cosplays. Like their cosplays were amazing. I saw a bunch of others as well. The first day I also spoke to a Lady D. I also spoke to a Heisenberg, which is funny because, as mentioned, guys, Neil Newbon was there, so it was crazy. But like I said, the first day was kind of chill. I kind of just walked around, kind of just got a lay of the land, kind of just wanted to see how everything was. I also met Michelle Ruff. So as mentioned before, Michelle Ruff was the lady that was that voiced that voiced Jill, and Jill and Cindy Lennox from Resident Evil Outbreak. So I did speak to her on the first day, and I was like, wait a second, wait, Jill Valentine is here? I was like, what? I had no idea, because like I said, they did show a picture of like the Bleach character. I don't watch Bleach, so I had no idea she was here. So I was like, oh shoot, Michelle Ruff. I was like, dang. So that's when I went up to her and I talked to her, and I'm like, yo, I'm a Resident Evil YouTuber. Just wanted to see, I actually had no idea you were here, so I'm actually going to try to book an interview with you. I'll go talk to press right after. And she was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. So yeah, I talked with her. She was super nice. So that's basically what happened on the first day. Another cool thing too is that some guy was selling hot sauce. I was not expecting to buy hot sauce at a Calgary Expo. But you know what? It actually ended up being really great hot sauce. I started trying it at the place and I was like, no, dude. I told him, I was like, Andy, I was like, dude, your hot sauces are amazing. I need to buy a bottle. And I even told him, like, I wasn't expecting to buy hot sauce at an expo. But you know what? I'm happy. So I got that hot sauce. It's actually Carolina Reaper, so it's the hottest pepper hot sauce. So yeah, honestly, it tastes really good. As you guys saw on stream, I think it was when was that? When we did the Resident Evil 7 DLC stream, I had some Carolina Reaper, and it wasn't that bad. I don't know if you guys remember. We did the stream, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, that was kind of disappointing, dude. It should have been better." But honestly, it was great. So yeah, Demon says, "Can't believe you met Neil. So jealous." I know, I met him. It was awesome. We're gonna get to that. I didn't meet him until Friday. I didn't meet, so the next day, actually, that's when I met Neil. Cinetation says, did you meet your viewer? You know what? No, I didn't. Unfortunately, no, I didn't. It kind of sucks. So she told me that she was going to be there on Saturday. Saturday was super packed. Like, it was the most packed. I think it was actually the most expensive day. That's what people were telling me. Dude, it was packed on Saturday, so I don't even know. Like, I was also super busy because I was doing interviews back to back. So that was crazy, honestly. That was super intense. Demon says, "Oh yeah, new update for TCM is out, but you're so lucky." Yeah, no, dude, we also have to try some TCM. You know what? If tomorrow, I'm going to send a message to my friend and ask her if she's free tomorrow to play Resident Evil 6. If not, we'll play some Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because the new update, I have tried it and it's pretty awesome. So I haven't tried like all of the outfits. Definitely want to do that. But you guys know how much I like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's always a great time. But yeah, Bean Boy says Saturday has the biggest events like the cosplay contest. Yes, that's very true. Yeah, a lot of the stuff, like a lot of the panels were also happening on Saturday. So yeah. So going back to what I was saying, so that was basically my Thursday. It was very chill. Oh, and I also stopped by a booth from Audio Technica. I spoke with the guys at Audio Technica because I was like, dude, this is awesome. I was like, I didn't know Audio Technica was going to be here. Now, if you guys don't know, Audio Technica is actually a microphone company. They're known for other stuff as well. They do headsets, for podcasts or just studio like quality headsets, studio quality microphones. So I was actually telling the guy at the booth, I was like, dude, I've bought so many Audio Technica stuff, and I was telling him like, what's new? Like, what do you have that's new here? And he's like, oh, well, Audio Technica just started working on a new mixer. So I was like, sheesh. So he let me try it. I tried it out. And like I said, the whole conversation basically started by me. My brother was actually asking like, hey, what microphone is that? And I was like, oh, that's the AT2020, which is a very common microphone. It's a condenser microphone. It's really great for like voice acting and stuff like that, is what I've heard, because it really captures your voice as you're speaking. But the problem with like, if you're a streamer and using that microphone, it does, you do hear like everything that's happening in the room. So for example, if I drop a fork over there, like in the kitchen, you're going to hear that on the microphone. So that's a condenser mic. But anyways, so I was talking to the guy about the microphones, told him I have the AT2040, AT2020, and I was asking him about headsets. And he's like, oh, dude, you should try this headset. So I tried it, super awesome. And then at the end, he goes, dude, he was like, dude, I was actually talking to me about Resident Evil, because I told him I was a Resident Evil YouTuber. So he was like, dude, I used to play Resident Evil 4. I loved it. And I'm like, have you played the newest one? And he's like, no, I haven't. And I was like, dude, you have to. And then after, he's like, well, you know what? Audio Technica is actually looking for gaming streamers. And I was like, what? I was like, hold up. And he's like, this is what he tells me. He's like, dude, wait right here. I'll go get my card and send me an email. Because like I said, Audio Technica is actually looking to partner with streamers and gamers. I was like, shut the front door. What? Audio Technica? So I was like, okay, man. All right, Daniel. I'm definitely going to do that. I'm definitely going to send you an email. Thank you so much. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, thank you for recommending the headset, which is the GL3 Audio Technica. So I was like, dude, this is awesome. And they actually had a good sale on headsets. But I actually, so anyways, that happened, which was crazy. So I got in contact with Audio Technica, which is wild. I was not expecting that. But yeah, and that was essentially Thursday. So now we go on to Friday. Friday is pretty intense. There's a bunch of people, a lot more people compared to compared to Thursday, because Thursday was like nobody, dude. Literally nobody. Like there was, like, compared to the other days, there was people, but it wasn't like packed. You know what I mean? Like there was people. It wasn't empty or anything like that. But anyways, yeah, so Friday comes up. I meet a bunch of Resident Evil cosplayers again. Had a great time. But then I saw that the Avatar, the last Airbender cast was there, or two of them. So if you guys have seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, you have Sokka, who's played by Ian Owsley, I believe is how you pronounce his name. And then you have Maria Zhang, who plays Suki. Now, I don't know if you guys have heard, but Suki, everybody's been kind of falling for her riz, like everybody. So I talked to Ian. I told him, dude, you're hilarious in the show. And I told him, I actually booked you for an interview. And he's like, oh, really? You did? Oh, well, yeah, hopefully we get to do that. And I was like, yeah, man. Anyways, great meeting you. I thought you were hilarious. And he's like, yeah, man, well, thank you so much for stopping by. Anyways, just stop by to say hello. Then I went to the other booth, talked to Maria. Wait, do I have a picture of Maria here? And Ian? Let's see. Do I have a picture? Let me see. I think I do. Yep. Here we go. Okay. So, like I said, I was talking to Maria, who was from Last Airbender, and also Ian. Ian's the guy on the left. So, the guy on the left right here. And I talked to Maria. So, like I said, a lot of people have been kind of falling in love with Maria. So when I was talking to her, she was actually super chill. I was like, dude, how's it going? I was like, dude, it's such a pleasure to see you. I loved The Last Airbender. I thought you were awesome. And then and then I go and I'm like, I actually booked an interview with you, so hopefully that ends up happening. She's like, oh, well, is it gonna happen right now? Are we gonna do it? Or like, I'm down right now. And I'm like, well, actually I can't, because specifically like in like the TOS of like the press, because they did give me a press pass, they said you can't be doing drive-by interviews. So I was like, okay, I can't do that. So I told her, I was like, no, I have to talk with press and they'll let me know. And she's like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. But I told her, I was like, I was gonna ask her a question. I was like, dude, how did you and I asked her a question. I was like, how did you riz the whole internet? No, what I actually asked her was, how does it feel to riz the entirety of the internet? And she was like, I don't know. What? Don't ask me. Like, how am I going to answer that? I was like, no. I'm just joking. But anyways, yeah, it's nice meeting you. Hope we talk after. But anyways, it was just funny. It was just a funny time talking with Maria and also Ian, like I said, from The Last Airbender. So that was funny. I was not expecting to speak with them, but yeah. I did speak with Aang as well later on. He actually showed up on Saturday. And Sunday also Zuko, which, do I have a picture of Zuko? Dallas Aliu was also there. So that was really, really cool. It was really cool. This photo's a little bit blurry, but yeah. So they were actually super nice. And then then what happens is that I'm walking with my brother, and my brother's girlfriend was also there. And she starts like freaking out all of a sudden. I was like, what happened? And she's like, I just saw Cameron Monaghan. I was like, what? She was like, yeah, she was standing right next to you for like the longest time. I was like, oh, okay, well, thank you for telling me. You didn't tell me Cameron Monaghan was right next to me? What? And she just kept it a secret. She was just freaking out like internally. And I was like, dude, you could have told me. I could have said something. Now, for those of you that don't know, Cameron Monaghan is actually the guy that's in Jedi Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor games. He's also known for other stuff like, Gotham and Gotham and Shameless. He's done a bunch of shows, bunch of movies. So yeah, it was honestly cool that he was there. I was, like I said, he was standing right next to me for like a long time, for like, like he was walking right next to me. And like I said, my brother's girlfriend was kind of freaking out. She didn't tell me, or else I would have been like, yo, what's up, Cameron? But apparently no, he was just right behind me, which I was like, bruh. So yeah, this is, like I said, this is Cameron Monaghan. And unfortunately, he had room on Friday. But the problem is like in his booth, like there was a bunch of room at his booth. But when I went to go over there, the crew that was working like in his booth area was telling me, hey, we're actually closing the lines, but come back in like 5 minutes. So I was like, okay, yeah, like I'll come back in 5 minutes. That's cool. So that's when I went to Neil. That's when I went to go see Astorian or or Heisenberg. So that was wild as well. I can't believe I went to go talk to Neil. So that's when I went. I waited in line. As I waited in line, I actually saw that. Wait a second. Do I have a picture here? Do I have a picture? Do I have a picture of Neil? No, I don't have a picture of Neil. What? I thought I did have a picture of Neil. That's crazy. Hold up. Let me get a picture of Neil. Neil Newbon. Okay, so as mentioned, he's super popular right now. He's basically been he's been killing it because he's basically known for Astarion and Baldur's Gate. As mentioned, he was also in Resident Evil 8. So, oh no, I do have it. Wait a second. No, this is oh, I guess my streaming software doesn't take this kind of stuff. Like it doesn't take this kind of image. Yeah, it's a WP thing. So, hold up. I'm actually going to get another image here. Anyway, so he also played Nikolai and Heisenberg in Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil Village. So that was cool that I got to meet him. Now, funny thing, when I met Neil, hold on, let me get the picture. Let me get the picture first. When I met him, now it actually took a long time. Neil's booth was probably packed the whole time, like the whole week, the whole weekend. He was literally packed like crazy, dude. Oh, hold up. There you go. Oh, dude, that's not a great picture. It's a little blurry. I didn't know. Anyways, you guys know who he is. He kind of looks like that. It's a little blurry. Sorry, I just grabbed an image from, the internet. Whatever. Anyways, as mentioned, where's my face? Let me put it in the corner. There you go. There you go. So, as mentioned, I was waiting in line to go and talk to Neil. And like I said, it was really packed. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday were all jam-packed with people. Now, I got to say, out of the top people at the Calgary Expo, I got to say the first one is Todd McFarlane. As we discussed before, the comic book writer, that guy was probably the number one guy. After, on Saturday, it was probably Matthew Lillard. Matthew Lillard was number one. I would say number three was probably John Rhys Davies, who played Gimli in Lord of the Rings. He was in Indiana Jones. He played Saba, I believe his name was, in Indiana Jones. Anyways, really well-known actor. He was probably he was busy, dude. Like, I didn't get to see him until the end because his line did not go down. And I guess the third was probably Astarion, a.k.a. Neil Newbon. And I think probably fourth was Roger Craig Smith. Those guys were like it was just consistent. Like, people were there to see them, which was super cool. And as mentioned, so after I was at Cameron Monaghan's booth, right next to his booth, like on the other side of the walkway, was Neil. So I was like, okay, well, Neil's line is actually pretty down. This was on Friday. So I was like, this is wild, because usually his line has been, busy, like full, like maximum 120%, like the whole weekend. So I was like, okay. I was like, let's go meet Neil. I did book an interview with Neil, but you know what? Let's go talk to him. Let's just go see. So the line was cut in like half. So I only waited for like a little bit. But you know what? No. Actually, his line was cut in half, but he was taking a long time actually talking with people. So it actually took quite a while. Now, when I went up to the front, I talked to his assistant, and the assistant guy's like, "Okay, so what do you do? What are you doing? Like, you want a picture? Do you want an autograph?" And I was like, "No. I'm just with the press. I'm just here. I just wanted to say hi, if that's okay." And he's like, "All right, just keep it quick, because we got a huge line." So I was like, "No worries, man. I'll keep it quick." So, I'm waiting in line. As I get to Neil, and I start talking to Neil, I'm like, "Yo, what's up, Neil? Such a pleasure to meet you. I'm a Resident Evil YouTuber." And I just wanted to come and say hi. I actually booked an interview with you, but just wanted to stop by to say hi before, I don't know when that's happening. I have to go back and talk with press. And he's like, wait. You're with press? And this is what Neil tells me. He's like, wait, you're part with press? So he's like, he says, why the F are you in queue? Wait, why are you queuing? If he's like, no. Okay, this is what we're going to do. Like, he was obviously, joking. He was like, but it was funny because when he said that, it sounded like Astarion, like, you know, Astarion sassiness. So I just started laughing because it was just funny. Because he was like, why? Wait, if you're part of press, why did you effing queue? Why? And he's like, no. Okay, no, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to give you my email. And then we're gonna do an interview. We're gonna book something because I don't know if I'm gonna be, you know, able to do an interview here. So he's like, well, I'll give you. And he's like, you know what? I'll give you my. You know what? You give me your email. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, sounds good. I'll do that. And he's like, okay, right here. You know, I'll give you a piece of paper. And I'm like, do you have a pen? He's like, yeah, right over there. I'm like, okay. So I start writing my email, and I'm like, dude, like, I actually a huge fan of yours. You know, I guys mentioned I'm a Capcom creator, a Resident Evil YouTuber, so I definitely, you know, if you're ever free to do like well, he was talking and he was like, yeah, like we could do an interview, we could do it on your channel and stuff. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. And I also told him, I was like, yeah, we could also maybe do it like live, you know, and on Twitch and stuff. He's like, yeah, that sounds good. And you know what, if I'm free, because I am incredibly busy. So I was like, no worries. And he's like, yeah. So I gave him my email, told him, you know, it's Project. Well, I'm not gonna give you. I'm not gonna say my email. I gave him my email, my YouTube email, and he's like, "All right, so I'll have my people reach out to you. We'll do that. We'll get, you know, we'll do a full interview." And I'm like, "Well, thank you so much, Neil." And that's when I told them, you know, like I actually beat Baldur's Gate 3, 100% in that game. Just beat an honor mode playthrough, so I beat it 110% essentially. And he's like, "Well, thank you, man. Yeah, thank you." And he was super nice. He was so nice. Neil Newbon was actually so nice. And it's not just me that he was nice to. He was nice to everybody. And like I said, his lines were super busy from Thursday all the way to Sunday. Like they were crazy busy. So yeah, that was basically the end. As mentioned, the assistant was like, yeah, all right, guys, you know, the time's up. You know, like he was telling other people. So I was like, I don't want to take too much time because there's a bunch of people waiting. And as soon as I got in the line, which was like halfway, the line just got to 100%. So I was like, I don't want to take time to the other fans. So I said bye. Thank you so much, Neil. We'll keep in touch. But dude, I actually ended up talking to Neil Newbon, which is hype. Like that's super awesome. Let's read some chats. What, you didn't get a pic of Neil? How dare you not get a pic? No, I was gonna get an interview with Neil. So I was like, there's no need to pay hundreds of dollars with for a pic, right? Like I don't know how much it was, but I saw other celebrities like they were charging like $100, and I'm like, I'm like, I'm gonna do an interview, so like let's not. I don't need a picture, you know what I mean? So he was actually taking selfies with people at his booth. This was not just him; it was all the celebrities, and then they were also doing like a photo op, so you could actually go there with a professional camera, and they'll take a picture, and then that's it. But you know what was weird was that most, like when I told people I was press or they saw that I was press, they didn't offer me to get a picture. But I was like, I should have gotten a picture, you know, like I'm part of press here. Like, guys, come on, like, right? Like, is that just me or? And sure enough, at the end of of my time, like at the last day of the Calgary Expo, funny enough, when I went to John Rhys Davies's place, like his booth, John Reese's people, like his assistants, were like, "Oh, you're part of the press," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm part of the press." And they're like, "Oh, well, you know what? You can go take a picture with them. Go, feel free. You and your cameraman, you can guys both take a picture." And I was like, "Oh, but I'm just coming to say hi." And they're like, "No worries. You don't have to pay. You're good." And I was like, wait, hold up. I don't have to pay? So wait a second. Could I have taken a picture with everybody else? But nobody told me that the press, like, it makes sense that press would be able to get a picture, right? Because like, if I'm part of like, you know, the press of like media outlets, if I'm like a writer, it'd be nice to have a picture, you know, to kind of, you know, write that stuff. So I was like, I felt like I was like I got jebaited, dude. Like I felt like I got tricked the whole day. I was like, wait a second, John Reese gave me a picture for free, and that's the picture you guys are seeing on live stream. But with the other interviews, I mean, I'm getting a video from them. You know what I mean? So I do have pictures with the other guys, the other Resident Evil guys. But but yeah, it was funny. Holy crap! Gimli was there. That's awesome. I'd try to go up to him and say, "And you have my axe." Yeah, there was a guy there that actually said that. He said that to Gimli. He said, "Yeah, an axe." No, he did a panel, and there was people that were telling him that. So I was at the panel. I did see him, but dude, no, he was so nice. We'll go over that, but that was at the last day. We'll talk about more of that. But like I said, we're still on day 2. So things are getting crazy. Like I said, we just talked to Neil Newbon, and then after, wait, let me get my notes. There's a lot of stuff, guys. A lot of stuff I did in like the last week, which is crazy. Yeah, after I actually ended up talking to whatchamacallit. I ended up talking to Roger Craig Smith. So no, sorry, that was at the end of Friday. So before Roger Craig Smith, I saw Neil Newbon, right? I just spoke with him, and then after, me and my brother were walking, right? My brother was my cameraman, and he actually saw one of the voice actors who voiced Ornn in League of Legends, and my brother was a huge fan. He's also the guy that's voiced Doom, the Doom guy. He's also in, I think he's also in X-Men 97. So I actually have to watch that because I met so many guys that were from the original X-Men cast, and I was like, dude, I just heard X-Men 97 was just happening, so I have to watch it. But yeah, no, it was great. So we went up to Matthew, I think his name is Matthew Watterson, right? Yeah, Matthew Watterson, I believe. Let's actually double check here. I want to make sure that I have the right name. Matthew Watterson. I believe he should be in voice actors. There you go. Yeah, the guy right there. What does it say? So the screen's a little small for me. Here we go. Yeah, Matthew Watterson. So Matthew Watterson, as mentioned, he's played Doom. He's played I think this is Magneto in X-Men 97. He's played Ornn in League of Legends. He's actually a well-known voice actor, so I had no idea, right? I was like, oh, this is awesome. I came up to his booth. There was nobody at his booth. And that happened a lot, where there was like these famous actors and nobody was there like talking to them. And I was like, bro, what? So I went over there. I was like, yo, how's it going, man? I just wanted to say hi, I just wanted to say hi, see how you're doing. Thanks for coming to Calgary. I was like, this is awesome meeting you, right? And I just to chat with people that were just not getting a lot of attention. As mentioned, like there was like the top 5 people were probably Todd McFarlane at the top, Matthew Lillard at a close second. Then it was probably John Rhys Davies. And then after it was Neil Newbon and then Roger Craig Smith. Those were like the 5 guys that were like the most famous. Like their lines were like full from Thursday all the way to Sunday, man. Like they were busy. So yeah. So like I said, me and my brother, we started talking to Matthew. Matthew said something very interesting. We were talking about voice acting and we were talking about Doom, and he was actually really willing to talk. So like I said, that kind of made me a little sad sometimes when like there was actors there that wanted to talk to their fans, but nobody was going up to go talk to them. You know what I mean? So I was like, so when I talked to Matthew Watterson, it honestly felt like we talked for like 10 minutes. And Matthew Watterson said something very interesting. He said that when he voiced Doom, there was a lot of fans of Doom that were kind of upset, and some of them really liked his voice. Some of them were really upset because they were like, oh, well, the character's never talked before. I liked it when he didn't talk. And one thing that he said that rang true to me was the fact that he was saying that as a voice actor, it's not the fans that decide if you get the job. It's actually the devs. So a lot of times, when fandoms don't like the voice actor, they kind of attack the voice actor. But in reality, they should honestly be attacking the devs for okaying the voice actor, because obviously the developers, the creative director is the one that's in charge, and basically is like, you know what, I want this guy to voice this character in my game, right? Or this character in my movie, or this character, you know what I mean? So that was a very good point, because it kind of made me, go back and remember the whole thing that happened with Lily Wong, I believe, right? That's her last name, Lily Wong. Or am I thinking Ada Wong? No, Lily Gao. Her name's Lily Gao, who voiced Ada Wong in Resident Evil 4 Remake, and who also played Ada in Welcome to Raccoon City. A lot of people were super upset at the actor, and they were, kind of, harassing her by saying, that she sucks, that she should, delete herself, and saying a bunch of nasty things. On the comments. I don't know how her DMs were. You guys remember that whole thing that was happening, and that's a very good point. That it's like, why are people getting upset at the actor when in reality you should be getting upset at the developers for hiring somebody like that? Like if you have an issue with an actor, it's not really the actor's fault. They just got gigged for the role. and they obviously tried their best. They went with the vision of what the director wanted, and so they kind of got all the flack. So it just made me remember the whole thing that happened with Eder and Lily Gao, right, and Resident Evil 4 remake. But you know what's interesting too? Something that I noticed when Separate Ways released is that a lot of people's kind of hate towards Lily Gao, like everybody got real quiet. Like all the haters of Lily Gao got super quiet after Separate Ways released. Because you know what? Separate Ways was amazing. I think a lot of people that didn't like her voice for some weird reason in Resident Evil 4 Remake and that were trashing it. And Separate Ways, they actually started to really like her. And it's like, yeah, I thought she did a fantastic job. So it's funny. We don't really hear all that much of hate going to Lily Gao, which is awesome. But it just kind of put things into perspective, right? I thought what Matthew Watterson kind of said, especially when he got a lot of hate for voicing Doom, the Doom games, the recent Doom game, that it's not really the actor's fault. It should be the creative director or the devs. So that's just another example of how sometimes actors get wrongfully picked on by fandoms, even though it's not really their fault, right? So yeah. Cinetation says, yeah, they were DMing her to the point she took down her social media platform. She didn't deserve that hate. Yeah. Demon says, I don't understand people like that. I saw things saying that hate the character, then the actor. Wish people weren't like that. Yeah, that's crazy. Hate the character and hate the actor. Yeah, you should not be hating an actor. And that's something that I actually talked about. If you guys remember when the whole thing was happening, I was like, this is crazy. You should not be attacking an actor. Like if you don't like what, their performance, then that's fine. That you could have criticisms, but as soon as you start harassing people by, calling them names or DMing them and saying a bunch of like crazy stuff, that's not cool. That's when it turns into harassing, like harassment. So yeah, but anyways, really great talk that I had with Matthew Watterson. I definitely want to check out whatchamacallit, X-Men 97, because like I said, I talked to the other guys as well. As you guys can see back here, Gambit and Beast were there, and I got a chance to talk with them, which is wild. I was like, sheesh. Now, after I spoke with Matthew Watterson, one of the things that was really cool was that's when I waited in line for Roger Craig Smith. And dude, Roger Craig Smith's line was it was like 70% full. So I was like, okay, well, we'll go, I'll go in there. I'll just stop by to say hi. Same thing I did with Neil, right? Like I just to let them know that like, hey, I booked an interview with you guys. My name's Eder. I'm also known as Project Wesker. I'm a Resident Evil YouTuber. Nice to meet you. You know what I mean? And hopefully we get to do that interview. So I went up to them. I went in the line. Yeah, his line was super, like, it wasn't long. Like, no, it was long, but as it got closer and closer, it took a long time. And the reason it took a long time is because Roger, also Neil as well, though, I should mention. Roger and Neil, they actually took a lot of time in talking with the fans, which I thought was super nice. So that's the reason why the line was kind of taking a long time. Even though the line wasn't that long, it did take maybe I don't know, 40 minutes or 30. No, I don't know. I actually don't remember. Maybe it's like 30 minutes. And it was, yeah. So it was long, but I just went over there, wanted to talk to him. And right before I actually went to talk to him, as mentioned, he was talking to everybody. He was really nice, super funny. And I actually talked to his assistant, Ashley, I believe her name was. And Ashley was super funny, actually. She was asking me, like, she saw that I had a press badge, told her I was a Resident Evil YouTuber. She's like, oh, you do Resident Evil? That's awesome. Like, with Chris, and especially since we have Chris, the boulder punching guy. And I was like, oh, sheesh. So she actually knows. I was like, sheesh, that's awesome. So, she was talking to me about games. And she's like, did you guys see the new Fallout show? And I was like, yeah, I actually really liked it. And she's like, yeah, my friend was actually working on hair and makeup for the Fallout show that was actually shot in Utah. So I was like, dang, that's crazy. That's super cool. And so we started talking. She was also, kind of bringing up the idea that, another show that they should do is BioShock. And so we were kind of just talking, and that made the time actually go really fast as I got to like the booth, right at the booth. And then after, I started talking to Roger. Told them, told them that I booked an interview, told them who I was. I'm a, Capcom creator. I'm a Resident Evil YouTuber. And, loved your performances in Resident Evil 5, 6, Revelations, Resident Evil Degeneration. The list goes on. And he's like, well, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. And we just started talking, right? And I kind of just wanted to, chat with Roger, kind of just to tell him, that I booked the interview. So that was the whole. I just wanted to stop by and say hi. Obviously, I didn't want to take too much time because there is a lot of people. So I would, I kind of just left the conversation like that, right? Like just like thank you so much for coming to Calgary. And so that's when I left. It was really awesome. I also wanted to talk to another voice actor that was right across Roger Craig Smith. But right when I was done with Roger, it was like near the end of the day. And I think it was like maybe like 30 minutes to an hour left. So it was getting short. And I did end up speaking with, no, I like I said, I wanted to speak with that actor, but I did end up speaking with her the next day because she unfortunately was done, right? She was done for the day. But yeah, so that was funny. That was funny that I was like, dude, I wanted to go talk to the other actor as well, but it didn't end up happening on that day, but I still got to speak with her. But the funny thing is, the reason I said it's funny, it's because I actually in line, I saw that voice actor voiced a character in Dragon Ball Super. And I just finished watching Dragon Ball Super like 2 days like before. And then now I was going to meet the voice actor, which is crazy. So that's what I mean. It was funny that I had just finished Dragon Ball Super and now, sad the next day I ended up speaking with the voice actor, which was wild. So yeah, so that was basically everything that happened on Saturday, if I remember correctly. No, sorry, Friday. That was Friday. Yeah. Oh, there's also another person I also forgot to mention. I also spoke to Little Mermaid. So the lady that voiced Little Mermaid, Jodie Benson. So that was cool. Not gonna lie, that was super cool that I ended up talking with Jodie Benson. That was super, super awesome that she was there. Funny thing is that she actually had a shield in front of her. So I thought maybe she didn't want anybody to reach for her hand or say, just introducing yourself. So when I first saw her and I saw the shield, I was like, oh, nice to meet you. Just wanted to say hi and say, you were actually one of my favorite Disney princesses as a kid growing up in the 90s. So just wanted to say that, and thank you so much for coming to Calgary. That's basically what I said, but I didn't reach out to go and say, do a handshake because obviously she did have like a shield. But I noticed after, right next to her booth, this was like on the last day, I noticed that there was actually a hole in between the the glass, so you could actually shake your hand. Anyways, I thought it was just funny that because like nobody had that at the Calgary Expo. Like nobody had like a face shield, but she did. So that like not a face shield, but like a shield kind of protector. So that was funny. Yeah. Another funny thing too, while I was waiting in line with the Little Mermaid and about to meet her, there was like an Asian guy that showed up, is just wanted to take a picture of her and kind of just like take a picture while she was talking to like another fan. And that actually kind of pissed off the PR lady because she was like, hey, sir, you can't do that. And the guy just like looked and he just like left, which was hilarious because he was trying to like, tell him like, hey, you can't take pictures. Like you have to. It's also kind of strange, honestly. I don't know why he was taking a random picture of her. Like obviously you do have to pay money for a selfie, but that's not even what he was doing. He was just taking a picture of like from far away, which I thought was a little strange. But like there was nobody in line too, so it's not like he could have just come and talked to her as well. So I don't know. That was weird. I didn't get that, but yeah, that was strange. And I also spoke to Butch Hartman. I think that was on Friday as well. So as mentioned, Butch Hartman is the guy that essentially voiced. He didn't voice. He created the Fairly Odd Parents show, Danny Phantom show, which I'm sure, as many of you guys know, like I'm sure for many of you guys, you did grow up on those shows because I certainly did. So I was like, dude, I got to talk to Butch. That's so cool. Butch Hartman right there. Super cool that I got to speak to him. I also spoke to Danielle Panabaker from The Flash. She was also on Sky High. She was actually a little shy when I went up to go talk to her, but there was nobody in line. So I was like, okay, I'll go, I'll go chat with her and say, like I have to finish The Flash. I was like on the last season, but then, I was busy with other stuff. But, I told her, thank you so much for stopping by from Calgary. Really liked your work in The Flash. Really liked it, your work in, Sky High. That was a movie I grew up watching. So yeah, I just wanted to say that, and it was cool. It was cool. But like I said, I did end up talking with Butch and I did end up interviewing him. So that was basically my Friday. As mentioned, we talked to a bunch of Resident Evil cosplayers. I got a bunch of interviews from the cosplayers. So that will be going into like a video. So you guys will see that. As mentioned, it's basically like questions like, what's your favorite Resident Evil game? You know what's funny is that there was a lot of cosplayers at the place, like Resident Evil cosplayers, but a lot of them were very new to the series. Like there was actually two people that I spoke to. There was actually two Edas. Shh, no, I'm kidding. I spoke to two Edas, and the first Eda actually told me like, oh, is this gonna go? No, the first Eda actually, I asked her, I'm like, hey, quick question. I'm asking a bunch of Resident Evil cosplayers, questions, wondering if you'd be interested in chatting. I'm just gonna be asking Resident Evil questions, seeing if you'd be down for that. To show up in my video. I'm a Resident Evil YouTuber, and they were like, yeah, let's do it. The Eda that I spoke to was like, oh, I actually really want to, but I actually have never played the game. I'm actually super scared. I'm like a scaredy cat, and I've never played any of the of the Resident Evil games. I want to, but yeah, I haven't. So I don't know if I can do an interview, she said, because and it's true. I was like, okay, well, that kind of sucks, but I'm like, yeah. I was like, that's cool, no worries. Great cosplay, I told her, right? But yeah, and then the second Ada too, there was another Ada, and both of these Adas were both dressed as like the RE4 remake, Ada, with like the sweater, like dress almost. And the second Ada was like, oh, is this, she was like, yeah, I'm down. But then after she was like, wait a second, is this going to go online? And I was like, yeah, this is this is going to go online. I'm a Resident Evil YouTuber. And she's like, oh no, then no, I'm going to have to say no. I'm like, that's cool, that's fine, but awesome cosplay. And then there was also a Jill, like a 1996 Jill cosplay, which was honestly super cool. I actually spoke with her, and I asked her, I was like, hey, I'm actually interviewing people, like cosplayers, wondering if you'd be down. And she actually said, no, I actually haven't played the games. I want to, but I haven't. I only saw the character of Jill, so then I dressed up. But she had a really great cosplay. I actually saw her the next day too. I think on Saturday I saw her, and she was actually working there, like as like a volunteer for like one of the crews. So that was funny. I was like, wait, she was like, I was actually hanging out by the Todd McFarlane line, who was, as mentioned, is like the number one guy there, the most popular guy at the expo. And I didn't even realize that was a line. Like the line went all the way down the hallway. Like it wasn't even in the same room. And I was just standing there. And then she was like, oh, are you waiting for the top? I'm like, oh no, I'm not. Oh, she's like, oh, because you can't stand there because, there's people that are lining up. I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. And I'm like, oh, wait a second. You're Jill, right? The Jill from here. She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. That's cool. Anyways, yeah, so there was some people that that didn't want to speak on camera. There was also another chick too that had like a Resident Evil like cool shirt of like Leon from RE4 Remake. She didn't want to talk because she was really nervous. That's another thing that I should also mention too, is that there was a lot of people that were very nervous. I almost forget sometimes that not everybody's used to being on camera. So it was when I first, like my first interview that I did with a Resident Evil cosplayer, the girl was very like shy. She was kind of a little bit shaky, and I was like, or I also noticed that other people, it wasn't just her, other people too would sometimes forget their train of thought. So I'd be talking with them, and then they would just be like, I don't know. I don't remember. And I was like, oh shoot, they lost their train of thought. I was like, no worries. So yeah, so that's something I have to take into account next time I do something like this, where I start, kind of doing like street interviews with, cosplayers, is, kind of just make sure to let them know that, like if I'm that, like, obviously I'm going to edit the video. So yeah, if you say something, you say a mistake, no worries. We'll go back. We'll say it again. Because some people were very nervous, but they were all super nice. Like I said, I actually saw a lot of Leon, Leon S. Kennedy. Saw a bunch of Claires. I also saw, I saw Heisenberg. I saw a bunch of Lady D's. Surprisingly, lots of Lady D's, lots of Adas. Who else? Oh, I saw one Carlos, and I was like, dude, thank you for dressing up as Carlos. Carlos does not get that much representation, so that's cool that you dressed up as him. And he's like, yeah, dude, no, actually, I really like Carlos. So yeah, so that, like I said, that's all going to be in one video. It's going to just me being, rapid fire questions. But as mentioned, my whole point here was that a lot of the Resident Evil cosplayers were very new to the series. So I couldn't ask them. There was only one guy, I think. No, there's two guys that were newer. Like they weren't newer, but they weren't like OG veterans of Resident Evil. But they were like, they played it since like 2015 with like the HD remaster of Resident Evil Remake. So that, those two guys, I could actually ask them a little bit, more questions. I also saw Hunk. That's one of the guys that was dressed up. He had a really cool outfit. There was also another guy that was with him, his friend, who was dressed up as like an umbrella scientist, like an RE1 remake. So that was super cool. There's so many great cosplays, but like I said, so most of the questions that I asked were very kind of, like, what's your favorite this? What's your favorite that? Who, what game is underrated in your opinion? You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. It's kind of like, it's easy to answer because I couldn't really get too much into like deep questions because a lot of the cosplayers were very new to the series, but it was awesome talking to them. But yeah. Yeah. Cinetation. Sorry guys, I missed some chats. Cinetation says, yeah, you got to talk to the Beast actor. That's sick. He plays Frasier, right? I seen him and stuff. Oh, he did? Nice. Yeah. Or is it a different actor? No. Yeah, no. Beast. The guy that plays Frasier is the guy that was in the live action movie. So that was in the live action movie. Yeah, it's different. It's different. That was from like the X-Men 3 movie, I believe. But no, I actually spoke to the actual like animated guy. So yeah. Cinetation says, oh yeah, I really like Danielle. I saw her on Friday the 13th. Oh, she was in Friday. Oh, I didn't know. That's cool. Bean Boy says, yeah, hey, that was me, the Carlos. Oh, Bean Boy, dude, you had an awesome cosplay. So I gotta say, dude, that was sick. Thank you so much, dude, for stopping by. I really appreciate it. I had no idea, Bean Boy, that was you. Smitty, right? Smitty, yeah. Like I said, I'm working on the video, though I will say, like I said, some videos, sometimes the audio, like the audio of the camera, I think I'm trying to remember if your interview, if the audio was kind of scuffed. But you know what? I think it's salvageable by putting subtitles. So sometimes that ended up happening. There was only one person where the audio was like 90% lost, and I was like, oh shoot, like that sucked. It was actually a really great conversation. So yeah, I think yours was okay. It was just kind of like it wasn't using the proper microphone that I had. So it was using like the camera's microphone, which is it's kind of scuffed, like it's not the best. So I will have to put subtitles. But dude, thank you so much, man, for agreeing to do an interview, man. Cinetation says, no Wesker cosplayers? I would have rocked that and gone into a phrase battle with Roger. Dude, Roger was hilarious. He actually did mention, and dude, you're going to enjoy the interview. So as mentioned, Roger's the guy that played Chris Redfield for a bunch of the Resident Evil games. You guys are going to really enjoy his interview that I had with him. I asked him some really funny questions. Well, not funny questions, just interesting questions. And one of them was talking about Weskers. But yes, there was no Wesker cosplays. And kind of going with that, I actually wanted to speak. I also wanted to dress up as Wesker. But I didn't have enough time. As mentioned, it was only 3 weeks before the expo started. And I was like, dude, I don't have enough time to have an outfit. So I just showed up like I normally do with, with my normal outfit. But dude, next time I go to like an expo, I'm definitely having a Wesker outfit, man. That's definitely on the bucket list, guys. So yeah. Yeah, he's playing with him in the live action again. He's going to be in the MCU. Oh, interesting. I haven't really kept up with that, but I heard that Deadpool and Wolverine, right? That's happening, right? That looks interesting. Oh yeah, and Danielle was in the 2009 movie. Interesting. C. Bailey, thank you so much for stopping by. It says, will you be at anything in Edmonton, like an Animathon or GameCon or Edmonton Expo? You know what? Maybe. I was actually born in Edmonton. I haven't been there in a long time, so I don't know. We'll have to see. You know what? Like I said, this was actually a really fun expo. So when's the Edmonton Expo? I think I saw on the Calgary Expo website that it said that it was going to happen in September, wasn't it? Do we have like Edmonton Expo? That'd be kind of cool, honestly, to go to Edmonton Expo. You know, I do have some cosplayer friends that I actually did meet. I did meet them, which was hilarious. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's the same guys. Giancarlo Esposito is actually going to be there. Wait, oh, no, sorry. That was from last year. Yeah, because they had Carl Weathers. Sheesh. They had Carl Weathers last year? Dude, that's awesome. Well, they had a lot of guys, actually. Yeah, they had a lot of the same guys. Cool. Yeah, if there's more Resident Evil guys that show up, I'm definitely down. Like, obviously, it's up to the organizers. But like I said, shout out to Justine, man. She was part of the press. She was super nice. Like, she was actually, making sure that, everybody that, she was actually checking in with the actors to see if I could do an interview with them and, kind of just setting everything up. So yeah, no, shout out to Justine. She was awesome. Cinetation says, dude, you should have just thrown out your leather jacket and just found out some black gloves. Wesker cosplay is also on my bucket list. Yeah, but you know what? It probably would have been hot. I don't know if it's just me, but the expo, like on the first 3 days, was super hot. I don't know. Maybe it's because I was just like walking, especially like the first 2 days. I think I walked like 10,000 steps. I think my watch said that I walked like 7 kilometers. And that's just the one convention. So I walked a lot in those 4 days. A lot of good exercise because I normally I do not like cardio. So that was funny. But yeah. Honestly, yeah. If I go to another expo, like if I get invited to go to another expo, I definitely want to wear a Wesker outfit. But I don't know about doing leather. Leather would be super hot, unless it was like super cold. But I don't know. We'll see. Demon says, I want to try and cosplay Sissy, something easy as my first. Dude, that'd be awesome. Yeah, or like dress up as Johnny. I could pull Johnny. Well, not his hair though. Johnny's hair is a little iffy, but his whole look is pretty simple, Not shirtless Johnny though. No, I think it'd be something like the Hitch or something. If it was like Texas Chainsaw, maybe like the cook, like, you kids better get off my lawn. Damn kids. Anyways, guys, let's continue on because Saturday is actually the most hyped day. So let's go over that. Like I said, there's a bunch of stuff to go over on Saturday. Saturday was wild, man. Saturday was the busiest. As mentioned, one of my viewers was actually there on Saturday, but I didn't see them because, like I said, Saturday was packed, dude. Like, there were so many people. Anyways, so let's start off with Saturday. I met a bunch of people. So for starters, the first people that I actually met on Saturday was Aang, and then it was Dallas. Yeah, I met Aang and Dallas. So talking to Aang, Aang seemed a little disinterested, but he was okay. Like, he was nice. I don't know, there's not much I could talk with him. So I just wanted to say, like, congratulations on season 2 and season 3. But when I talked to Dallas, who plays Zuko in Last Airbender, that was hilarious. When I talked to Zuko, dude, he was actually funny. Like, when I went up to him, he actually, first off, I wanted to, the first thing I told him was like, dude, like, I really liked your interpretation. I liked the fight choreography that you did on The Last Airbender. And I actually told him, there was one scene that I really liked in The Last Airbender that I have to say, like, it was great, was the scene where it was like in the marketplace in Omashu. And there was like as Aang and Zuko were both like trying to fight or whatever in the marketplace, there was some random lady that just shows up in the shot and just has like a bunch of, I don't know, she has like a book or like a bucket or something and just starts hitting him on the face. She starts hitting, like, get out of my store, and starts, beating the living daylights out of Dallas. and so Dallas, because actually, yeah, Dallas was like, dude, he's actually like, dude, he's like, dead ass. This is what he says, dead ass, that lady, she hit me super hard. Like, I actually had to tell the director, I was like, all right, guys, we need to chill because she's like hitting me in the head. And I was like, dude, that's hilarious. It honestly did look like that lady was not holding back. And he was like, no, dude, she was not. And it was funny when he said dead ass, there was actually a kid meeting, there's a kid meeting Aang, and so he didn't want to like say dead ass, so he was like he's like, dead ass. Well, I mean, like, reality, she hit me super hard. So anyways, he was super nice. I actually asked him real quick. Another weird thing too is that on Saturday, I like, as soon as I got to the expo, I went to go talk to the press, and the press was like right on the booth, right? Like, I went to go over there, I talked to them, and I told them, what's new? Did we book an interview? And she's like, okay, so we did get some responses. So I was like, okay, let me know. And so she's like, okay, so the Avatar cast, they are not open to any interviews. We can't interview them. We also talked to Neil Newbon, and apparently he's way too busy, so he's not going to be able to do any interview. So I was like, okay, that's fair. I was like, that's cool. Also, he's like, Gina Carano too, she's not going to be doing any interviews. She's only here for like one day and she's super busy. We also, Cameron Monaghan, so the guy that played, Jedi Survivor, he's also not going to be doing any interviews. So when she first said that, I was like, no, that's cool. That's cool. Because you know what? I did talk with Neil. As mentioned, I did exchange. Well, I did give him my email so that he will, we're going to book like an interview. So that's fine. It kind of sucks. But you know what? I already talked to Neil, so that's it's not a big deal. I did end up booking an interview with him, so that was kind of a bummer. But when I went to go and talked to the Avatar, like when I first talked to Aang, this was something I forgot to mention, was the PR people, as soon as they saw like my cameraman and they saw my press badge, she went up to the crew and she was like, yeah, we're not accepting any interviews at the moment. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not. I'm part of press, but I'm not interviewing. I just wanted to say hi. And she's like, oh, okay. That's fine. Go right ahead. And I was like, okay. But it almost felt like she was like they were super strict on not having any press there. And same thing with Dallas. Like when I spoke to Zuko, they were like, oh, you're part of press? No interviews. Like, don't do any interviews. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, I have to book it with press. Obviously, they said there's no interviews, but they were very strict. I don't know why. Like, my question was, why was the assistants and like specifically like the public relations team so adamant to having like their cast members not do interviews? Because I mean, people that were there at Calgary Expo, you can confirm this. The Avatar guys, their booths were pretty empty, and they were there from like I said, Suki and Sokka, or Maria and Ian were there from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Aang and Zuko, Dallas and Gordon, they were there from Saturday and Sunday as well, but they didn't really get that many. They didn't get that many people. There was a lot of Avatar cosplays, but there was not that many. There wasn't that many people going to see them. So I was like, why did they say no to interviews? Like that was kind of wild. Obviously, I did speak to one of the actresses before that, Maria, and she was down to do an interview right then and there. But I told her, wait, hold up, I can't. Like I'm not allowed to, or else they'll kick me out. They did say they were very strict in the line that no press can do like drive-by interviews. You do have to talk with the press. Press has to talk with the PR. And then they get back to you, and then you can do it. So I was like, okay, yeah. So, anyways, it doesn't matter. Like I said, Dallas, Gordon, they were nice. So it was just their PR. I don't know. I was just weird. I was like, why did they do interviews? Because it seemed like they were kind of bored. Honestly, there wasn't a lot of people there. But yeah, let's see. Oh, Demon Leon, I want to do my first. It seems easy enough. My hair is similar and I just need a jacket. Dude, nice. Yeah. I actually have his jacket too. That's actually one of the things that Caitlin was saying, was like, maybe you should just put on the Leon jacket. I'm actually glad I didn't, because like I said, it was hot. It was hot. I don't know how the cosplayers were doing, especially Saturday. There were so many people, especially like on the second like area. There were so many people, dude. Like it was wild. Yeah, Sina says, yeah, I actually saw my granddad has a similar jacket to Leon. I was super jealous. Dude, dang, your grandpa's sheesh, your grandpa's got them he's got that drip, dude. Yeah, your granddad has style. That's awesome. So anyways, going back with Saturday. So, after I spoke with Dallas, spoke with Gordon, it was then that that I actually went with the ladies at press, these three girls that were kind of, helping out the press, where they were like, okay, I need you to go and actually speak with Roger, speak with all of the actors, because it seems like I could only land 3 interviews. So I went with them, essentially. I went with them. We actually talked to Roger Craig Smith's team, and they were like, yeah, we can book it. That's what they were saying to the ladies. They're like, yeah, we can do that for 3 p.m. because Roger has to go eat lunch. So we'll come back. If you guys want to come back at 3, we'll do an interview. And I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. So the girls basically relayed the information that they talked with the assistants. And then we went back. Then after I told them, I also want to interview Michelle Ruff, who's Jill Valentine. So I was like, let's go do that. Let's go talk to them. So, so that's when I followed them. I went to Michelle Ruff, and what was interesting was that Michelle Ruff, I thought we were just going to ask, when are we going to do an interview? When are you guys free? And they were like, I'm free right now, so let's do it. That's what Michelle Ruff said. So I was like, okay, dang, I better get my camera. I better get my stuff ready. So, my cameraman was getting ready, and then got my microphone, but I didn't know where my questions were because I wasn't expecting to like have an interview right from the get-go. So I actually did remember my questions from the top of my head. The only thing I did forget to ask was any projects that she has that, you know, she'd like to let everybody know. That's the only question that I ended up forgetting, but everything else was good, even though I did not have my questions in hand. So I was kind of just doing it off of memory. So, but yeah, guys, you guys are going to really like that interview. As mentioned, it was only like maybe 4 minutes, 5 minutes, very short interviews, obviously, because there's people and stuff. But yeah, I spoke with Jill Valentine, which was awesome. So you guys are going to see that video. That's going to be awesome. And then after, we actually went to Butch Hartman's booth. Same thing. The ladies went over there. We talked to them, and then they told me, they're like, yeah, we can actually do it right away. And I was like, okay, right away, let's do it. So I was actually getting my other microphone, passed it to Butch. We did the interview, and you know, they were so nice. What was funny too is that when they asked him to do an interview, he's like, oh well, I don't know if I can. I have to talk to my public relations guy and his agent or whatever. They came over and they're like, yeah, you can do the interview. Yeah, it's cool. And I was like, and then they're like, okay. So then we did the interview. So I got an interview with Butch Hartman. As mentioned, he's the guy that did Fairly Odd Parents, Danny Phantom, Tough Puppy, other shows like that. So yeah, I had great questions with him, great time speaking with him. So that is going to go on the channel. Because obviously I don't have another like interview channel or anything. That is going to go on the channel. I'm not going to give notifications to everybody because it's not a video. Obviously, it's not Resident Evil related. It's going to be public to everybody to see the video, but it'll almost be like a stealth upload. I'll let everybody know in the community when that interview goes up. But just because, you know, I don't want to give like a notification of like a video that's not Resident Evil related, because obviously that's what this channel is about. And you might be asking yourself, well then why did you interview, you know, why were you going to interview so many different people? Well, the reason is because I was like, I mean like the opportunity was there, you know, like, well, why not, you know? that's my logic. So yeah, so I actually did have a bunch of list of questions with them. So yeah, it's a great video. I am going to be posting it on the channel, but like I said, it's going to be a stealth upload. So it's not going to like give notifications to everybody. And then I did end up, you know, going to Artist Alley, which I had never done before. Like I said, I had no idea that it was there. So I did that. And then I saw another Lady D cosplay, and a Donna Beneviento cosplay, but I couldn't like they were walking super fast, so I kept losing them, and that happened like twice. And at the end, I didn't get an interview with them, which just kind of sucked. But yeah, that ended up happening. And then after I actually spoke with Danielle Panabaker, that's when I spoke to her. As mentioned, I already went over that. But then I actually ended up speaking to Sarah Wiedenheft, I believe is how you pronounce her name. This was the actor that I saw across from Roger Craig Smith. So, and like I said, like in her booth, I saw that she played Zeno. Zeno is actually he actually plays like a god, like a universe god in Dragon Ball Super. And so it was wild. I had no idea that I was actually going to speak with the voice actor that played Zeno in that show. So yeah, I just played that. It was crazy that I got to speak with her, and she actually, you know, I thought that she was like, obviously, you know, voice actors, they do voices and stuff, so I assumed that Zeno was like, you know, a character, but no, she actually does speak like that. So that was funny. I had no idea she actually does speak like Zeno. So that was, I told her, you know, Zeno was really cute in Dragon Ball Super. Thank you so much for, you know, your work. I just finished Super, so that was really cool. And yeah, so this is how the character looks, just so you guys that haven't watched Dragon Ball Super. It's just like a little character. But it was funny. It was funny that I just watched the show, and she was, you know, a part of the show throughout the whole thing. And then, you know, I ended up speaking with her, which was wild. So yeah, there's so many actors that I met that I was like, I had no idea I was gonna speak with them. You know, it was crazy. So yeah, so I spoke with them, and that's actually when I went to go and after that I went to go and speak with Roger. So Chris Redfield. I went to go speak with Chris. That's my Chris impersonation. And you know what's funny too is that the day before, when I spoke with Roger Craig Smith, we were talking, and one of the things that he mentioned is that, yeah, one of the funny things that I always get is people saying, come on, Sheva, hurry, Sheva, hurry. And he was doing like the same voice where like he was doing like the Sheva, hurry, come on. Which was just hilarious. It was just funny. Like, I was not expecting him to do that. It kind of just went out of the blue. He's just like, yeah, I always get people that, you know, send me memes, and one of the memes that they send me is the boulder punching, and then they also send me the come on, hurry. which is great. So, but that's when I did the interview. I actually went up to the booth. But one thing that they said, which was really interesting, was that, oh, you're gonna have to share time with another press person. So I was like, okay, it was just the guy with his camera, and I was like, oh, okay, that's fine, I guess. Like, I can't say no, you know what I mean? So I went over there, and we were going together with Justine, which was the lady that was in charge of the press. We went over there, and yeah, she talked to them and said, yeah, we only have 2 minutes, because the lineup was full for Chris, right, for Roger Craig Smith. So there's only 2 minutes. So she was basically kind of suggesting the idea that you guys can collaborate on like questions. But I told her, I'm like, I don't think that's going to work, because I don't know what he's asking questions about. So I don't really know the other guy. So, you know what? I think I can ask all my questions in like 1 minute, if that's okay. I can ask all the questions. He can take the other minute. And then the other guy was like, no, I'm not doing that. And then he just left. And I was like, okay. I was like, okay, whatever. So then I just started talking to Justine. I'm like, okay, well, since he left, I guess I'll just take the 2 minutes. And then she's like, yeah. So I did the interview. It ended up being a little bit more, I believe. I think it was like 3 or 4 minutes of an interview. But I did talk to Ashley right after, and with Chris. I did speak with Justine, and she was like, no, you were good. You were good on time. So, but it was honestly a lot of pressure too, because there was a huge lineup of people that were there talking to Roger Craig Smith, and I kind of just bypassed the whole line. And I'm doing an interview in front of everybody. I mean, people were watching the interview kind of live, which was cool. But obviously, I didn't want to take too much time, because, like I said, there's so many people there that want to meet Roger, and Roger's been there for such a long time. So it did put like pressure, not like pressure that I got nervous or anything. It wasn't like that. It was mostly like, I just want to be able to ask the questions. But Roger was so good at just answering the question, going to the next question, you know, kind of going really, really fast with the questions. He was also super funny. As mentioned, Roger, Neil, they were super nice. So, but yeah, like I said, I'm going to be interviewing Neil at a later date. But interviewing Chris, that was crazy. I actually, like, the day before the interview on Friday, I did tell him that I did interview, you know, the first Chris Redfield, Charlie Kraslovsky, and he was like, oh yeah, that's so cool. And I was like, yeah, so if anytime you're free, I'd love to do an interview on the channel with you. And he's like, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, let's do it. But then, you know, the next day, that's when the interview time happens. So I'm glad everything happened really quick. I'm glad the other guy that was kind of being rude, who got upset that he was only going to have a minute to talk to Roger, he's like, I'm out of here. And he just laughed. I was like, okay, I guess I'll take the 2 minutes. Thank you. See ya. So it all worked out. Honestly, Ashley, the handler. Oh, also, when I went up to Roger, and I was waiting for him, he was talking to a fan, taking pictures with them. Ashley, his assistant, was like, okay, I trust you, but can you like show me like what kind of questions you're going to be asking him? So I was like, okay, like, yeah, these are the questions. I'm going to be asking this. And she's like, oh, no, that's a great question, she said. So she's like, no. She also told me one question I was going to ask him was like, what's your fondest memory in a Resident Evil game? And she's like, I wouldn't really ask that question, because Roger has a habit of if you ask him like which is your favorite something, he'll just bypass that by just saying he likes all of them. so she's like, I wouldn't ask him that, because he's probably going to say something like that. So she actually saved me a question. I actually gave her an alternative to the question. She's like, no, that one's better. Yeah, that one he'll answer. So dude, shout out to Ashley as well, his assistant to Roger Craig Smith, because dude, she was awesome. Yeah, she actually helped me out with like, you know, the question. She was like, yeah, Roger wouldn't really answer that, so I would recommend the other one. But yeah, so that interview was wild, man. That was crazy. Like I said, I'm so excited for you guys to see that interview. I have to edit it. As mentioned, these are not big interviews, because, you know, there's so much things happening in the expo. So I'm sure you guys will enjoy those interviews. I'll probably turn them into shorts and stuff. But yeah, like I said, I could only interview 3 people, but and obviously, like I said, I interviewed a bunch of Resident Evil cosplayers, so that's going to be a separate video as well. They're all going to be separate, but yeah, guys, looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. And let's see. Right after I went to go talk to that's what happened. So right after I went to go talk to the interview with Roger, that's when I actually went and I actually spoke with Beast. So I actually started talking with George Buza is his name. And I actually asked him right from the get-go. I was like, okay, so I grew up watching X-Men. Like, the theme song is amazing. You know, like I told him, I'm a huge fan. I had no idea you were going to be here. And I grew up, I always thought you had a fantastic voice as Beast. And I actually asked him, so I'm like, so I heard that there's X-Men 97. Are you also portraying Beast in X-Men 97? He's like, yes. So that was actually one of the things that X-Men 97 did, is that they rehired all of the OG actors. And I was like, dude, that doesn't happen. That's not normal. And he's like, no, that's definitely not normal. But they actually did a fantastic job of hiring everybody. The only person they didn't hire is Ryan Potter over there, who they actually didn't hire him as Gambit. They hired him as a different character on X-Men 97. But the reason they didn't, and he was actually telling me this, he was kind of giving me like behind the scenes. He was telling me, yeah, the reason that they didn't give him the role of Gambit in the new one is because Gambit apparently dies. So I was like, spoiler alert. I was like, okay. Anyways, he's like, yeah. So he's gonna die like in the first episode or something like that. So that's what he told me, and he's like, so they told Ryan Potter, who's the voice of Gambit. They're like, you know, do you want Gambit? Because you're only going to be playing him like for 3 episodes or 2. Like I said, I think it was episode 1 or episode 3. No, I think it was episode 3. You only play him for like 3 episodes, or you could play this other character who's going to be there for the next show. And if we do like another season or so, so he's like, okay, I guess so. But so that was cool. You know, he was telling me, yeah, thank you so much for coming up to talk to me. Because like I said, there was nobody talking to it was interesting. That side of the booth, it seemed like nobody was talking to them. Like nobody came up to talk to Beast, nobody came up to talk to Gambit, or like I said before, Matthew Wanderson. So I was like, no, I'm gonna go chat with them, right? Like I know their work, I grew up watching the show, so I might as well come and say hi to Beast. I mean, yes, please. So yes, I went over there and had a great talk with George Busa, and yeah, so it's crazy. I met Beast. And so right after talking to Beast, I went to go talk to Ryan Potter, who was the voice of Gambit. Went to talk to him, asked him about, you know, who the new character he's playing. He's like, yeah, it's so cool that I'm back on the X-Men 97. And yeah, you kind of just chatted for a little bit, just talking about X-Men 97, how he recommends, you know, watching those shows. And then he told me, yeah, he's like, yeah, but anyways, guys, I have to go take a leak. He went. So he went. So that was cool. I talked to Gambit. And Gambit, Beast, which was, wow, that was not expecting. I also noticed after that Storm was also there. I had no idea that Storm was there. Dude, there's so much stuff happening, so that kind of sucks that I couldn't talk to Storm. But yeah, and like I said, also, no, that was on Sunday. Never mind. I was going to mention another thing that I saw on Sunday, but not yet. We'll talk about that after. All right, guys. So next up, we actually had, let's see, oh, that's right, I met Jason Lee, and then I finished off the day by meeting the day by meeting D. Bradley Baker. So those are people that I was not expecting to see. D. Bradley Baker, for those of you that don't know, is the voice. He's done so many voices. He's got such a huge vocal range. He played like Appa and Momo, the animals in Avatar: The Last Airbender. He's also played so many voices in like Star Wars: The Clone Wars. So I just came up to him, just wanted to say hi, you know, just introduce myself. You know, what's up? I'm actually part of the press, but just wanted to say hi. You know, I really liked your work on Avatar: The Last Airbender and Appa. And as I said that, he actually went and started doing like the monkey noises and like the Appa noise, like, "Roar." And I'm like, dude, your vocal range is crazy. That's so cool. And I also really liked, you know, your 501st, you know, the clone troopers that you played on, all the clone troopers, because he literally played everybody in Star Wars, the Clone Wars. So, you know, another show I grew up watching. So it was crazy. I met him, and as I said that, one of the things that was cool too is that some voice actors would just go into character, But so that was funny. D. Bradley Baker would just literally start switching his voices. But D. Bradley Baker has been in so much stuff. Like, I don't know. Those are just like a couple of things that I know him from. But yeah, I just wanted to say hi. And then I went to go talk to Jason Lee. So Jason Lee, for those of you that don't know, Jason Lee, he actually voiced the guy in Invincible. So I'm sorry, not Invincible. What am I saying? In Incredibles. He voiced the guy in Incredibles. He was in a lot of like 90s movies. You know, he was in Mallrats. I've seen him. I saw him in Jay and Silent Bob. So that's actually what I talked to him. My brother actually knows him from Alvin and the Chipmunks, because my brother watched that movie as a kid. So yeah, I was like, let's go talk to Jason Lee, man. Like, let's go talk to him. So yeah, went to go talk to him. He's actually super nice. Yeah, he was actually super nice. And obviously, yeah, this isn't like an older picture from like the 90s. He's a lot younger, but he's a lot older now. But no, he was actually super nice, honestly. Yeah, meeting Jason Lee was super wild. Yeah, like I said, I told him I'm a super fan of Incredibles. He played the villain, like the guy with the spiky hair in Incredibles. I also really liked whatchamacallit. Really like, yeah, talking with him. And also his friend was there. And his friend, Ethan, because he was there because of My Name is Earl. And his friend was in the quarry. So I actually talked to him the next day. And let's see where the picture is. Wait a second. Where's my picture? I had the picture here where he was there. Hold up. Let me bring it up. Yeah, right here. So if you guys remember, he actually played one of the hillbillies. This is Ethan Suplee, or Suplee. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but dude, it was wild. I was not expecting to see Ethan Suplee there, but no, he was super nice. I actually asked him about how it was to work in video games. He was super nice. He answered my questions. We'll go over that on Sunday, because that's the next day. Like that's not on Sunday now, but just like after, when we get to the Sunday of talking. No, Jack, what's up, man? Thank you so much for stopping by. Sorry, I can't pronounce your name. Is it Wajdak? Nwajdak? I think that's it. Says, my buddy and I were interviewed by you on Friday of the expo. We were Hunk and the Umbrella Scientist. Great talking to you, man. Dude, I was just talking about you. Thank you so much for stopping by, dude. Yeah, I thought your guys' outfits was probably the best. And honestly, that's one of the things that I wanted to mention too, is your interviews are going to come up after. So this probably in a couple of days. I'm working on all the edits right now. But yeah, actually the Umbrella, my buddy and I were interviewed by we were Hunk and the Umbrella. Yeah. So I don't know which one you were. Were you Hunk or the Umbrella Scientist? Anyways, both of your cosplays were amazing. And that's actually one of the things that I mentioned before, was I really liked how when I actually spoke with you guys actually knew a lot about Resident Evil, because a lot of the other cosplayers that I met in the expo, they were kind of newcomers to the series, but talking with you guys was a lot cooler, right? Because I could actually get like more of an answer, right? So that was nice. But guys, no, you guys had amazing cosplays. But yeah, dude. All right, so guys, we're almost there. Thank you to everybody that popped up, right? That show that was there, that that got interviewed, that we did an interview with. That's so cool that you guys are here. I really appreciate it. But anyways, let's actually continue. I think that was it for Saturday. So now let's get to the actual final day. The final day. Yeah, so this is Sunday. So what was interesting about Sunday, I did also interview another Leon on Saturday. That's another thing I forgot to mention. And then on Sunday, I noticed there was no Resident Evil cosplayers. Like, there was no one. There was literally 3 I saw. One of them I actually that was the Leon that I interviewed the day before. And then there was 2. And what's funny about the 2 is that I actually knew them. They were actually my friends. So I was actually going around. This was on Sunday. I was walking around, and then all of a sudden I see like an executioner. And I was like, dude, wait, hold the executioner. I was like, wait a sec. Because I was seeing a lot of pyramid heads, and they were awesome, by the way. I actually wanted to interview some of the pyramid heads, but they got away, right? I didn't see them anymore. I only saw them once, and I was like, oh, shoot, I missed the opportunity. And I saw an executioner from like specifically Resident Evil, like the Afterlife, like the Mila Jovovich movies. Anyways, I actually spoke with the executioner. I went up to the executioner and I was like, dude, wait, are you the executioner from Resident Evil? And he's like, yeah, no, I am. This is, yeah, I'm actually dressed as him. And I'm like, dude, that's so cool. I'm actually a Resident Evil YouTuber, and I'm actually, I'm like interviewing a bunch of people, wondering if you'd be interested to be in my video. And then as I said that, he was like, wait a second, Wesker? and he takes off his mask because obviously, the executioner has a mask. And sure enough, it was my friend Mario. And Mario was like, "Oh shoot, it's Eder. How's it go? How's it going, man?" I was like, "Oh, dude, I didn't know you were here." And sure enough, his wife was right behind. She was also dressed as like Alice because they're super fans of the Mila Jovovich movie. So I actually asked him after I did an interview with him, of course, which was funny, and I was not expecting to see him. And so, yeah, I actually took a picture with him with his executioner thing. So check this out, guys. This was a picture I took. This is like the last day on Sunday. This is me with like the executioner putting like a really funny face with his like axe. As mentioned, this is the Resident Evil Afterlife executioner. But dude, yeah, that was funny. The thing was tall, actually. It was not that was a pretty intense cosplay, not gonna lie. Yeah, I was actually pretty wild. But yeah, so I actually got a picture with this thing after I did an interview with him. So as mentioned, you guys are gonna see him as well. Great cosplay. Yeah, great axe that he had, which is crazy. As mentioned. Yeah, so as you guys can see behind me, since this was like Sunday, this was actually like the last hour, or no, actually I think it was like 2 hours before the end of the whole like the Calgary Expo. So as you can see, all the booths behind me were like all pretty empty. Everybody was kind of leaving. But yeah, I guess the other thing that I also should mention too is that when I first went on Sunday, that was actually the first day that I actually had like a full 8 hours of rest. It's the Sunday and Saturday were like the days that I rested the most. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep before. Anyways, so Sunday I slept. It was actually good. I actually arrived kind of late to the expo, but yeah, it was like 2 hours late. But anyways, got there, really great time. And one thing that I actually wanted to go talk to, the people that I want to go speak to, is Iman Esfandi, and as well as Diana Lee Inosanto from Ahsoka. So let me actually see if I can bring up images of them. 1 second, guys. So you guys know who I'm talking about. Iman Esfandi. Do I have? No, not Ashoka. I wrote Ashoka. Iman Esfandi. Yeah. Now I got to talk about this. Now, he played Ezra Bridger in Ahsoka, but he was actually super nice. I'm not gonna lie, he was actually one of the nicest guys I probably spoke to. Everybody was super nice. I have to mention that. Everybody was super nice. It's just he's probably the nicest, because honestly, it felt like, like I could talk to him. Like, I don't know. It felt like we clicked. But anyways, Iman was super nice. Talking with him, he was in Ahsoka, as you guys know. He was actually telling me a bunch of behind the scenes stuff. So at first I went up to him. I'm like, "Yo, how's it going? Loved your work on Ahsoka. I really liked your interpretation of Ezra Bridger." And he was like, "Oh, dude, thanks, man. That means a lot." And then he started talking to me about like the behind the scenes. And this is where he starts. He's like, "Yeah, so the lightsabers, I was actually doing a choreography." I actually asked him, "How long did it take you to like learn the choreography?" He's like, "It actually took me a couple of months." And I asked him, "What martial arts did they like teach you like to do to become like Ezra Bridger, right? Like to do the Star Wars, lightsaber stuff, combat?" And he was like, "We did." He told me we did. He did like 6 months, I believe, is what he said. But he said he did wushu. And he said, at first I was kind of confused. I was actually, when I went to LA, he's like, I didn't really know what I should study. Like, I don't, he said he did do some, like a bit of jujitsu and stuff, but he was saying, yeah, so at the end, a lot of the stunt guys that he spoke to told him to do wushu. And I was like, oh, wushu, because wushu was the type of martial arts that's very flowy, very dance-like. And he's like, yes, exactly. And I was like, yeah, like also like I'm pretty sure the Matrix also used a lot of wushu, like a lot of like a lot of the dancey flows and stuff, like Neo and the fighting, the stuff that they were doing. And he's like, yes, that's exactly right. And so he's like, so when I was in LA, they told me to do a bunch of wushu, so that would actually help with movie fighting. And so that's what I did. So I studied it for like like I think it was like 6 months, he told me, or no, I think it was 6 weeks. It might be 6 weeks. But yeah, and he was starting to talk about lightsabers. And one of the things that I actually had a question for him was, dude, like the lightsabers in the show kind of felt kind of short, and they kind of felt a little chunky. And I asked him, was that just me? And he's like, no, that wasn't just you. Dude, I actually had the same question. And I actually went up to talk to the executive producers and the director of and the Ahsoka, and I told them, like, guys, this doesn't look right. Like, this doesn't, like, it looks kind of short. And the guy, and this is what he told me. He told me that the executive producer and director, who was like, dude, I just forgot his name. Um, the guy with the cowboy hat who was in Clone Wars, like the guy that's in charge, Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni was the guy that told him, "No, Iman, like you're crazy. Just keep working. You're an actor. You don't have to worry about that. Okay, we got this." And he was like, "No, dude. Like I thought, like it also doesn't feel right." And he was telling me that when he was actually practicing with the lightsabers and stuff, he said that the lightsabers were they felt really light. And he was telling me that in the prequels, apparently, because he actually shot some, like he was there on set with Hayden Christensen, who was, Anakin Skywalker in the prequels. And I was like, dude, I love the prequels. The fighting in that was amazing. He's like, dude, no, the fighting was like the best in the whole series, right? Like the whole series of films. So he was like, dude, he was like, so he was telling me, he's like, bro, like, he's like, so this is what I was telling Hayden. I was like, Hayden, do the lightsabers feel kind of like crappy? And Hayden was like, no, like, dude, they do. Like, they don't feel great. Like, they don't feel nice. And he was telling me that the reason they didn't feel nice was because in the prequels, they actually had like metal rods. So they were just all metal. And at the end, they actually had like a ball of like, I think he said the OG Star Wars films, like the 4, 5, and 6, Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, a New Hope. They were whatchamacallit, they were they had like a steel ball at the end. So the reason he said that it actually helped with swinging was that when you're doing like katana or whatever stuff, like sword work, you almost need like a little bit of weight at the end. And so I actually asked him, I was like, oh, you know what? I think I've heard of that. I've heard of like in katanas, you do also have to use like a motion, almost like you're throwing like a fishing rod, almost like that. Like that's the kind of motion how you would cut, and stuff. And he was like, yes, no, that's exactly it. It's almost like a fishing rod. And so, but the problem is that when you don't have that counterbalance, so like in the prequels, they had metal rods, so there was weight to them, especially at the tip with the balls. He says with the ones we used, like they were glowing and stuff, but they didn't feel right because since they were so light, they kind of felt like hard plastic. It felt like they didn't swing nicely. As soon as you would swing, it honestly wouldn't connect well and it wouldn't kind of balance. Like it wouldn't feel right when you would hit. And I was like, dude, that's crazy. So he's like, yeah. So at first I thought, I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I won't say anything, because as he told me that he was telling the executive producer and the director of Ahsoka, like, guys, this isn't working. Like, I need, like, can we go back to the other lightsabers? And he was telling me that after the executive producer and the director were kind of gaslighting him and saying like, nah, you're just an actor, you don't know what you're talking about. He told me that it wasn't until the Lucas Ranch. At Lucas Ranch, he actually had a whole gathering at the end of the show, with like all, I don't know if it was at the end of the show actually. He just said he had a huge gathering with all of the actors. Hayden Christensen was there. As mentioned, he played Anakin Skywalker, and he brought it up again. And he was like, dude, like he talked to Dave Filoni and the executive producer, and he was like, guys, the lightsabers don't feel good. Is it possible to like make them longer? And then they were starting again. They were gonna tell him like, nah, dude, like you don't, you're just an actor, you don't know. And he's like, Hayden agrees with me. So he said Hayden, and then sure enough, Hayden was like, yeah, no, it's true that they don't feel right. And as he was telling me, he was actually doing like an impression of Hayden, which was super funny. So yeah, like I've never met Hayden Christensen, but obviously I know him from like the Anakin, like the Star Wars 1, 2, and 3 prequels, and as well as like Jumper and whatnot, like those movies. So when he answered as Hayden, it was hilarious to hear, dude. Like it was funny because I was like, I could hear it exactly, like he was doing a perfect impression of him. So yeah, so then he was like, after I talked to the executive producer, then they kind of took me a little seriously after Hayden said something, because I was like, yeah, because Hayden was like in the Clone Wars, man. Like he was like not in the Clone Wars, but he was like in the prequels, right? Like of course, like he's got like they've done one of the best fights in the whole series. So he's like, yeah, dude, but that was my experience. It was awesome. And I'm like, well, dude, I'm so excited to see you in season 2. And then he actually tells me at the end, he's like, yeah, I'm actually, one of the things that I'm actually curious about is that since I'm no longer in the other galaxy, I'm wondering if I'm going to be able to do any lightsaber combat, because I actually want to fight, like, but there's no more Inquisitors, there's no more, like, Jedi Sith. So I was actually telling him, I'm like, well, they might do like another like anti like Jedis, right? Like what happened with Ahsoka. If you guys have watched that show, they had a bunch of guys, a bunch of like two Jedi, a Jedi and an apprentice who kind of turned to the dark side. So maybe they'll do that. But yeah, he says, yeah, but like I definitely want to do like more lightsaber combat in like season 2 and whatnot. So I was like, dude, that's awesome. And it was a pleasure to meet you. So yeah, like I said, had a great talk with Iman Isfandi. He was actually super nice. Yeah, just yeah, talk to him for quite some time. And yeah, and like I said, there was nobody there. There was literally nobody there, which was wild, man. Like, there's literally no one, which is crazy. Because as mentioned, like he was actually wanting to talk. Like yeah. So that was crazy. But yeah. What was I gonna do? Yes. Okay. Let's see. All right. So let me just get some water. We'll continue. We're almost done, guys. We're almost done. Now, the other person that I also met right next to him, well, actually, I met her before I met Iman, was Diana Lee Inosanto. Now, Diana Lee Inosanto has been in The Mandalorian. Diana Lee Inosanto. I actually did speak with Diana. Diana was actually super nice. She was actually telling me at the end, as we were talking, I was like, dude, I'm actually a huge fan of your work on The Mandalorian. Really enjoyed seeing you on there. And I also told her I'm a huge fan of your dad as well, Dan Inosanto, who actually worked out with like Bruce Lee. Like that was her dad. He actually trained Bruce Lee, I think, in calisthenics or eskrima. So that was cool. That was cool, to be able to talk with her. And yeah, and sure enough, her assistant was actually asking me like near the end of the conversation, where she was actually telling me that, yeah, I'm actually going to be showing up in like the Tales of the Jedi or Tales of the Sith, she said. So it's like a different show, like an animated show, kind of talking about her character. So she's like, definitely check that out. And then she asked me, she's like, yeah, we've been asking a bunch of people, who do you think did, like, which fight was better, the one at the end of The Mandalorian or the Ahsoka fight? And I was like, I think The Mandalorian was a little more memorable in my opinion, because I was like, she did fight with like a spear. So, and that's what I told her. She's like, oh, okay, yeah. That's funny. We actually gotten a lot of people say the Ahsoka, but you know what? It was kind of hard to remember like the exact choreography and the exact fight. I am gonna have to look at that again, because I just didn't, like, I didn't remember. So that was cool. Like I said, that I ended up speaking with Diana. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of her dad, and yeah, huge fan of her as well, in The Mandalorian and Ahsoka. And as she mentioned, she's gonna be in a cartoon as well. So that's cool. I'm definitely gonna have to check that out. Now, let's go on. What was the next thing? Oh, the other thing that I also forgot to mention as well was that on Saturday Saturday was the busiest day, and then when it got to Sunday actually got kind of empty. There was not a lot of people. Sunday and Thursday were like the days that nobody was there. Anyways, so when I was there, my brother and his my brother's girlfriend. I don't have a girlfriend. I'm single. I'm single AF. Anyways, my brother's girlfriend, she actually went to Matthew Lillard's line, because she's a huge Scream fan. So that was actually super cool that she went over there. Because as mentioned before, guys, Matthew Lillard's line was crazy. Now, as mentioned, I know nothing about. I know I've seen Matthew Lillard in like Scooby-Doo growing up. I've seen him in like Without a Paddle, which I thought were great movies. But I've never seen the original Scream. The only Scream I've seen is actually Scream 6, and I thought it was kind of mid. So, but I definitely wanted to see him. But funny story about that is that when my brother went and waited with his girlfriend to go and meet Matthew Lillard, it was super funny, because when they went over there, Matthew Lillard actually like showed up in the line and was kind of giving people high fives. And he went over there to my brother, gave him a high five, even though my brother wasn't in line. So, but after, when my brother did get in line, apparently he hugged Matthew Lillard, and Matthew Lillard said he had delicious hair. I don't know. That's what I heard. But that's just a story that I heard from them. But so that was cool. But they said he was really nice. Like, Matthew Lillard was super nice. A bunch of people. There's so many fans. As mentioned, they had to turn away so many people at the yeah, in his line, because so many people wanted to go and meet Matthew Lillard. But yeah, so that was cool. That was honestly super awesome. But yeah, but anyways, going back to what I was saying, next person I met was Ethan Suppley. So Ethan, as mentioned, Ethan was this guy, who was in My Name Is Earl. He's been in a lot of movies, actually. He's been in whatchamacallit. Oh, do I not have the pictures anymore? I don't have the pictures. One second. He was in a lot of movies. He was in Fanboys, I remember. He was in Mallrats. He's just a bunch of stuff he's done. But let's see. This is what I was going to say, was that I know him more recently from The Quarry. So if you guys saw me play that game when it first released, I think 2 years ago, I think it released in June, right, of 2022. It was funny because yeah, when I saw him, I was like, wait a second, that's the guy that would played the hillbilly like werewolf family guy or whatever in The Quarry. And then sure enough, I went up to him, talked to Ethan. I'm like, dude, I've known you from so many movies. I started name dropping, like I said, in Fanboys. I've seen him in like Mallrats. I've seen him like, a bunch of stuff. And then I mentioned, but one of the coolest things that I seen you recently was in The Quarry. And he was like, yeah, that was actually super fun to do. And I was like, how was that? How was your experience in The Quarry? Like, was that your first time ever playing like a character in a video game? And he was like, yeah, that was actually the first time I've ever done it. And he says it's weird. It's super weird. And I was like, why was it weird? And he was like, it's weird because you're like in a big warehouse. And he told me it's as big as this. So it's as big as the expo. And it's all a bunch of cameras, and you're there with just another actor, and you kind of have to imagine that you're kind of in the world. It's very different, but honestly, the end results were really cool. But it was just a very strange experience, he said, because I was just in an empty white room, basically with like a jumpsuit with like little dots, everywhere on my face. So I was like, that's crazy. But yeah, and I told him, well, you know what, I really liked his performance in The Quarry. And you kind of just started talking to him about that, and yeah, just mentioning that. And he was super nice. He was honestly super nice. I told him thank you so much for coming to Calgary, coming to Calgary Expo, and he was like, yeah, man, thank you so much for stopping by, man. I appreciate it. So yeah, really cool meeting Ethan Suppley. I think that's how you say his name. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation. Ethan Suppley. I don't know, but yeah, really nice guy. I've actually seen him. Like I said, you've probably seen him in a movie. He's been in so many stuff. So yeah. Anyways, next up we go to, oh, that's right. That's when I met Gray Delise, I think is how you say her last name. So Gray, if you guys don't know, Gray actually played a bunch of characters. She's well known for playing, I think, Billy and Mandy. She played Mandy in that show. She played like Vicky in whatchamacallit, like in Fairly Odd Parents. She played also the sister in Fairly Odd Parents of Vicky. She also played Sam and Danny Phantom. She's played so many characters. She's also been in like Mass Effect games. She's played like some one Asari that actually wanted to kill her sister. I think she's also known for Avatar: The Last Airbender, like the animated series. She played Azula. So yeah, she was honestly super nice. And another thing I'll also mention is that she was hilarious. She was hilarious because one of the things that I'll mention is that, yeah, she was like, oh, here we go. Here's a nice picture. Yeah, there's a picture here that shows all of her characters, like her most well-known characters, because she's played so many characters. She's also played like Batwoman in Batman Arkham City. So, but as I was telling her, like, honestly, like, it's such a pleasure to meet you. I grew up hearing your voice in so many shows. I started name dropping, like, like Danny Phantom, Billy and Mandy, Fairly Odd Parents, Azula, Catwoman, Daphne. As I started mentioning all of the names, she started like talking as that character, which was wild. That was super funny because she was just name dropping. She was like I know, as I was dropping the names of the shows and the characters, she was just doing the voices like right from like the get-go, which is hilarious. And yeah, she was super nice. I started telling her, like, I actually asked her about like Invincible, because she's actually plays one of the characters called Monster Girl. So chatted with her. At the end, she actually told me, yeah, you guys are so nice. Do you guys listen on Spotify? Because I'm actually on Spotify. So if you guys actually want to go check her out as well. She's on Spotify. Go give her a follow, because she was super nice. And at the end of the conversation, she gave me and my brother a hug, and she's like, the way she said goodbye was, I banish you from the Fire Nation. She acted like Azula, which was funny. Yeah, she's super funny. But yeah, that was a great experience meeting Gray. Not gonna lie, that was great. And yeah, and then another thing that I should also mention too is that I did go to Artist Alley on Sunday, and that's when I actually ended up speaking with the producer and director of the X-Men 90s show. So I actually ended up talking with him, and I actually saw on his banner that he also directed some episodes of the Batman animated series. So that was crazy. He actually saw my press badge and he was like, "Hey, or wait, you're press?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm actually a content creator." He's like, "Oh, well, that's really cool." And he's like, "Yeah, I can't imagine, we didn't have those in the 90s, but that would have been a way different experience if we did have content creators back then." I'm like, "Yeah, that would have been crazy with like dial up." And he's like, "Yeah, especially with like no internet for like the majority of the 90s." I was like, "Yeah." So yeah, but he was super nice. He was telling me about his experiences. He says it was very hard to work on the show, but it was tough work, is what he said. Not that it was hard; it was tough work. But what he was saying was is that it was also kind of easy as well because the studios kind of allowed him to do whatever he wanted. So yeah, so I guess that's and that's when he said that, I was like, well, that's actually one of the reasons why, really successful shows get to blossom so well, is because, not you don't have that many executive producers or like, top executives at the CEO companies, production companies, kind of breathing down your neck. You kind of have more space to be creative and do stuff, right? So that, yeah, he's like, yeah, and that's exactly what happened. We had so much free time to go and do stuff. So that was really interesting conversation I had with with the director and producer of the X-Men show, which is crazy. Yeah, I told him I had such a pleasure seeing you, seeing your episodes on Batman the animated series as well. He's like, yeah, thank you, man. So that was the end of the conversation. Then right at the end of the hall, I ended up seeing an Invincible graphic. I think his official title was color designer. And so I think he basically colors in all of the comics, or he's in charge of the color. But not only for the comics, after I started talking to him, he also mentioned that he was also the guy that was in charge of the episode. So he's actually working, a guy that was working on the comic but also working on the show, which is wild, dude. That's crazy. Yeah, so honestly it was super nice to stop by and kind of chat with him. And he was telling me one thing that he really liked. I told him I've never read the comics, and he said, "Well, you know what? You don't need to, because the show is actually doing such a good job." I was like, and that's one of the questions that I had. I actually asked him. I was like, "Yeah, so would you recommend that I watch the show?" And he's like, "No. You can watch you can, like, do you recommend watching, like, reading the comic in preparation for the show?" And he's like, no, the show is actually doing a really good job of kind of tightening everything up with the story. So I definitely recommend you just watch the show, because the comic book, I mean, it's great, but just like, it's just a better version. It's like the version 2.0. Because I asked him, like, I've heard that there's some differences, and he's like, yeah, but those are so minor, like they're minute differences that it's not like a big deal. So I was like, well, okay, well, that's great. And I was also telling him that I really enjoyed, season 2. I'm excited for season 3. And he's like, yeah, you have to be patient. And I also told him, well, yeah, with the recent episode of Invincible, there was a whole thing where, where Invincible goes to a Comic-Con. And in the Comic-Con, he actually talks to like this animated show that he's watching, which is kind of like, a parody of like Invincible. And he starts talking with the creator, who's, coincidentally the creator of Invincible. And anyways, he was telling me, like, as they were kind of explaining, well, animation takes a long time. And I told them that scene was actually really amazing. I don't know if I'm making myself, like, I don't know if I'm explaining myself well there. You have to watch the show, but the scene I'm talking about is that there's a reference to animation in the show. And it's funny because it's basically explaining like tricks that animators use to kind of save money. And it also shows why sometimes it actually takes a long time to have episodes come out. And one thing that he told me, which I had no idea, was that he said that in the comic book, they did the same thing, but in comic book version. So they also did the whole thing where they were showing what comic book artists do to sometimes save money. And they also explained why sometimes issues take such a long time to come out and release. So I had no idea, but honestly, it was a great conversation I had with them. Another person I also talked was with Mike Sass, who was actually one of the first illustrators or graphic illustrators that was hired by BioWare. So as mentioned, BioWare is actually just in Edmonton, Alberta. That's actually my hometown. And yeah, he was telling me that, yeah, he actually worked for BioWare, so the company that's made Baldur's Gate 1, 2, Star Wars, the Knights of the Old Republic, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, those games. he was telling me that, yeah, he was working there from 1995 all the way to 2008. So kind of like the golden era of the games. But yeah, he had a bunch of like art and stuff. So I was like, dude, this is so cool. Yeah. He was telling me about, his experience working there, how it was really great, and how now obviously he hasn't worked there since 2008, so he doesn't know how it is at the company now. But no, great talking with him. There were so many cool artists at Artist Alley, and honestly, it kind of made me feel a little bit bad that the Artist Alley was kind of it was honestly really far away from like the general expo area. So it was kind of hidden away, but there was still a lot of people traveling there. Obviously people that saw the rest of the expo went to go see Artist Alley. So that was nice. That was definitely nice. But yeah, so that was my experience meeting like comic book guys, guys that worked in the industry. So that was really cool. And finally, no, not finally. We're almost there. Two more things. And that after I went to Artist Alley, that's when I ended up going to go speak to John Rhys Davies. So as mentioned, guys, John Rhys Davies is the picture that you guys saw. As mentioned, he's been in in whatchamacallit, he's been in so many movies. I actually went up to go talk to him. You know who else he played, which was really wild? He played like the nemesis of like in SpongeBob. Like, there's a villain. What are the superheroes? Like Merman and Barnacle Boy, I believe. Yeah, those guys. So what was funny about that is that, yeah, he actually played those characters. He obviously played Gimli in Lord of the Rings. He played, I think his name is Sala or Saba in Indiana Jones. So I actually asked him, I was like, dude, how was well, I didn't say dude, but I said, how was your experience going back to Indiana Jones after so many years? And he actually told me, he's like, honestly, it was amazing. But you know what? It was amazing at first, but I was kind of upset that they actually cut my part down a lot. So it wasn't something that I signed up for. Like with the initial plan that I had for the character, what I signed up for ended up not happening since they just changed the story. And I was like, dude, that's a bummer. He's like, yeah, I mean that happens as actors, but he's like, one funny thing that he mentioned is that, but you know what, most actors, or he said, that happens as actors, but I shouldn't really be complaining, but you know what, I'm gonna start complaining anyways. So that was funny. Yeah, so as we took a picture, he actually started trying to tickle me to actually, laugh, but I wasn't ticklish. I don't know, usually I am ticklish, but I guess I just wasn't that day. So that was funny. Anyways, I just smiled and took the picture. And like as mentioned before, right, I did not pay for this picture. The ladies at the front were like assisting John, they actually said, oh, you're with the press? Go right ahead. Go take a picture as well. And I was like, oh, I just wanted to come and say hi. Because I'm like, I'm not paying for a picture or like an autograph. And they're like, no worries. You just go right ahead. You go and take a picture. So I was like, okay, that's awesome. So that's what ended up happening. That's why I have a picture of, as mentioned, I got a picture of John Rhys here, which is cool. It's cool. Like I said, I kind of felt a little cheated at the end because I was like, bro, what? Like what? Like, could I not with John? I'm just saying the whole time that I was at Calgary Expo, nobody else offered me a picture. It was just John Rhys's team. So I was like, was I supposed to get a picture with everybody? I mean, I am part of press, but I guess not. But like I said, it's not something that it's not a big deal. Honestly, it was so great to meet everybody. As mentioned, guys, I have so much content for you guys. As mentioned with the cosplayers that dropped in, Hunk, the Umbrella Scientist, as well as, Carlos. We got a lot of videos for you guys. So I'm really excited. As mentioned, this is my first time ever at an expo, and if all expos are like this is pretty awesome. I'm definitely going to be coming back to one of these. I definitely want to come back next year. As mentioned, next year I do want to dress up as Wesker, though. I don't, or something, dress up as someone, at least, someone from the games. So yeah, definitely want to do that. Another thing I'll also mention, kind of just to finish off, there's something else I had to mention too. Another mention. That's right. So right near the end, near the end of the day, this was like the last day on the expo. Let me get the picture where it was on the last day. Yeah, this was the last day. Both of these pictures were the last day. When I to finish the whole thing off, I actually went to a final panel on the main stage that had Neil Newbon, Roger Craig Smith, as mentioned, Neil Newbon, Heisenberg, Nikolai, Astarion, Roger Craig, Chris Redfield, you know, Curtis Miller from Resident Evil Degeneration, they all did a panel. And on top of that, another person that I wasn't expecting to see was Victor Lucas. Now, Victor Lucas has actually been on TV since I was actually a kid. And I've always seen him kind of talking about games, kind of talking about, you know, his reviews on The Run is the show that I used to watch. So that was always really cool to see. So that was awesome to see that he was there. He was interviewing Neil and Roger Craig Smith, as well as the voice actor for Zelda. So that was a cool experience. But that was basically the end, guys. That was the end of the experience. I do want to state also that I did miss a couple of cosplayers, Resident Evil cosplayers. I did miss Lady D's. I did miss a Lady D. I missed a Donna Beneviento. I also missed. Who else did I miss? I missed a Lady D, Donna Beneviento. I think I also missed one Claire who was walking way too fast, and I was like, I wanted to ask them, but but honestly, it was great. It was great. Yeah. Sanitation says, yeah, sounds like Matthew. Although I also heard he wants to play Shaggy again in a new Scooby-Doo movie. Dude, yeah, Matthew Lillard. Yeah, he looks pretty cool. Like I said, I never met him, but my brother and his girlfriend, they did talk with him, and that seemed pretty cool. Sanitation says, did you hear the RE9 leaks while you were away? Apparently it got delayed. Then Dusk Golem came out and said it wasn't, and now they're saying it should be announced very soon, so I don't know what's happening. Yes, I did hear. Even though I've been busy with the expo, I did hear all of Resident Evil 9 leaks. Both of them came from Dusk Golem, funny enough. So he just posted something in the morning, I think, today? No, like late last night. I think it was last night. I think like around like midnight or something, he posted something that was like, oh yeah, there's gonna be a Resident Evil 9. As you guys are well aware, I don't trust Dusk Golem. I don't. I think this is just an educated guess. I think Dusk Golem he's just guessing for Resident Evil 9. He thinks that it's gonna happen because solely based on the fact that Capcom data leak happened in 2020. So we know that the game's has been in development since 2020. That's not thanks to Dusk Golem. We already know that game's already happening, right? Resident Evil Apocalypse. So yeah, like I said, I don't buy leakers. I don't trust them. But yeah, guys, I don't know. Hopefully we actually do get some news on Resident Evil 9. As Beanboy just said, yeah, they better announce it soon because I'm dying for a new game. Definitely, yeah. Like I said, we're probably going to get more games. I actually have a video for you guys kind of talking about Capcom. I heard something really stupid. It's an idea. No, I did. It's a really dumb idea that talks about Resident Evil remake fatigue. That there's some people in the community that are getting tired of remakes, which is like, what? So I'm actually working on that video. You guys are getting a sneak peek to that. I am going to be releasing that probably on Monday. Like I said, I'm also going to be releasing the interviews, cosplay interviews with everybody, and as well as, you know, the celebrity interviews, the voice actors with you know, Roger Craig and Michelle Ruff as well this week. So stay tuned for that, guys. And it's going to be a busy week. I'm going to try to also stream tomorrow. Usual time, we stream every Saturday at 3:30 p.m. 5:30 p.m. Eastern time and 2:30 Pacific Standard Time. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to be streaming. I don't know what we're going to be streaming. We might be streaming Resident Evil 6. I have to message my friend to see if she's down for that. I don't exactly know. But yeah. Crystal Cavern 16, thank you, Crystal, for stopping by. It says, with the rumors with RE9 being BSAA, I'm hoping they bring back some BSAA characters like Piers Nivens because I miss him. You know what? That's actually very interesting that you mentioned that, Crystal, because sure enough, I did actually talk to Roger Craig Smith about that idea. Well, I did talk to him about Piers. So yeah, like I said, stay tuned, guys. I think you'll really enjoy the interviews that I had with everybody. So yeah, man, I think we'll get news on Resident Evil in June around the next State of Play. Yeah, and you guys, I am going to be covering that on the channel. And as mentioned, if you guys, I just made a dual PC setup. I have my PC rack over there. I still have to do more testing. So if you guys are members, or if you guys want to get access to that, I'm still showcasing my members only live streams to Twitch, because like I said, we're still not to affiliate. We're almost there. So once we hit that, then obviously then, you know, it'll go back to members only live streams. But stay tuned for that, because stay tuned on Twitch, because I will be posting some test streams. I'm going to be testing my dual PC setup. We're going to be checking out some Resident Evil mods, right? I'm super hyped about that. I heard that there's a Dino Crisis mod that just released, Dino Crisis 2. That's like a HD version. I'm excited to play that. So it's been a while since I played Dino Crisis 2. But anyways, guys, thank you so much. As mentioned, stay tuned for tomorrow. Stay tuned for the videos. And yeah, thank you so much for everybody for stopping by. Like I mentioned, I had a great time at the Calgary Expo. Can't wait to go back. Next time, I do want to dress up as a Resident Evil character, though. As mentioned, we got to dress up as Wesker. I got to do that. Anyways, thank you guys. See you guys. Hope you have a good day. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow, guys. See ya. See ya.